All right, what's going on, Conscious Crew? It's your favorite breakdown commentator. Welcome to another riveting episode of the Consciouztv platform. Girl, I don't know what the hell got into me. It has been a whole full day of live streaming down to the damn ground, and I'm just in the mood. Okay, so shout out to the mood of it all. Now, I know we done been live 3 times already today. There's been multiple community wall posts, therefore my notifications are absolutely shot. Okay, YouTube is not going to be sending out notifications because I already done blown all 3 of mine, because I think you want to get 3 in every 24-hour quarter. Okay, so for those of you who are going to make this live, for those of you who are up for this live, for those of you who are going to catch this live in the replay, you're going to need all of the thumbs up. Okay, coming up, liking the video, commenting on the video, all acts as engagement, and those things rev up the notifications this time, honey. But over there's the piece of child support check from my baby father Steven for working hard in his street. Thank you so much, baby father, for the Odessa piece of child support check. I was just sitting here like, baby, the Conscious Crew, honey, I done loaded y'all up on this Monday, baby. Okay, the Kang been Kanging all day. So shout out to the baby father, Steven, for the Odessa child support check. You guys know that you can donate. I ain't even got the donation thing up here. Totally forgot, honey. That's how hard I've been working today. My God, today. Okay, you guys know you can donate $Consciouztv and or PayPal.me/Consciouztv. Thank you guys so much in advance. If you love the show, you appreciate the content, the work ethic of the Kang, this is one of the many ways in which you guys can support by coming up, by engaging, by sharing, and or by donating. Okay, to PayPal/Consciouztv and or $Consciouztv on Cash App. So just how it is here on the mother platform. Also, make sure that you guys thumbs up the video. We need all of that. As I said, make sure that your notification systems are all turned on. And last but not least, please share the stream out to wherever it is you have digital community, whether that be a YouTube community wall, your Snapchat, your MySpace, your Facebook, your outside of Twitter, Tumblr, or your personal OF. I don't believe a damn way you in that everything. Just let them whores know that we're out, we're live, and we are certainly in color. And with no further ado, let's go ahead and push it on through.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, what's going on, Conscious Crew? My Medusa says, I'm so glad you live. These content creators are corny. Shout out to my baby mama, Medusa. My God, baby. Y'all be keeping it 100. Shout out to my baby mama, Teresa, for just because you are you. Thank you so much, baby mama, Teresa, for the nasty child support check. Thank you. God bless you. And baby father Steven. Yes, honey. Shower the Kang. Got the Kang feeling real good. I just feel, I don't know, I feel so zooted and booted on today. And it's just been flowing. I don't know what it is. You know, I just been feeling it today. So you guys know we've been cracking out content all day. Of course, Shannon Sharpe made 2 of our shows. Now he's making 3 of our shows. We initially got into the breaking news that Shannon Sharpe, podcaster, NFL commentator, YouTuber, was recently sued by an alleged girlfriend who initially filed anonymously, and she's being represented by no other than bald-headed, big neck ass Tony Busby, who y'all know I can't mother stand. Okay, the fact that he even in the chat already discredits her shit, you know, at a 90 percentile level, baby. Okay, well, Shannon Sharpe did release a statement. He also released a plethora of gag busting text messages, girl, that had us on the goddamn floor from Miss Jane Doe, who has now been exposed courtesy of Shannon Sharpe's legal team as Gabriella Zuniga, I believe is how you pronounce her last name, girl. And baby, the text messages reveal everything from her wanting to much on Shannon Sharpe's birthday cakes with no candle, girl. Her wanting him to put big black babies and baby gravy inside of her, girl, and tie her up and rope her up like a damn dog. Okay, I mean a hot mess, girl. She even put a $25,000 tab on her ass cheeks, girl. Okay, so that next smash and dash session was gonna run Shannon Sharpe a good $50K. Now we know Shannon Sharpe got it, baby. So $50K ain't nothing but a thing, okay, for Miss Netta. I mean Shannon Sharpe, girl. So it's been a lot going on all day. Well, courtesy of the street committee team, they sent me the actual official filing, which isn't a long filing, but I'm glad I got my hands on it. So shout out to the street committee, girl, for always keeping me up on game. So we're going to read the official legit filing, okay? Not courtesy of a blog or anything, but the direct filing. Because I did look it up earlier on Pacer, and you know, it wasn't there, honey. So, girl, shout out to the Conscious crew, girl. Y'all got real degrees, real master and understudies in nosology, girl. Shout out to y'all. Matter of fact, let me shout out to all the Conscious crew in the building, y'all. Y'all, once again, I blew my notifications. YouTube ain't sending out no notifications, girl. They ain't fucking with it no more until another 24-hour period pass, okay? If I can go tomorrow, well, technically today without live streaming, and let this 24-hour period close, y'all probably will see me maybe Wednesday night so I can get my notifications back cycling. Because if I keep going live, girl, YouTube ain't gonna be, you know, they ain't gonna be supporting it. So I'll be having to, you know, space out when I'm live. It's a whole mess. Anyway, shout out to the baby. What's going on, baby mother Teresa? Hey, baby mother Medusa. Hey, Foxy Brown. Hey, Ashley. What's going on, Dazzle.Taro? What's going on, the T Lounge? Hey, boo. What's going on? High mental abilities. I'm waiting on Royce and Jew to hit me back, boo. I got your email, and thank you so much as well for your audacity piece of child support check, boo. You always showing up fucking economic love, baby. Shout out to you. What's going on, my rumors and tea? What's going on, your local idiot? Hey, Auntie Jace. Hey, boo. Baby, the headlines be headlining, Auntie. The headliners have had us shook all day. This has been an explosive Monday, girl. From Kanye to Shannon Sharpe, it's been a whole hot mess out here. It is great. What's going on? Hey, y'all. Hey, Miss Mika. Hey, Ian Gardner. What's going on? Mabel Reynolds. Hey, boo. Hey, y'all. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it, y'all. This is the official filing, child. Let me go ahead and put this up on the screen. Let's get to reading, Bria. Kaboom. All right, girl. As you guys can see here in the 8th Judicial District Court of the state of Nevada, in and out of the county comes Jane Doe versus Shannon Sharpe, child. Plaintiff Jane Doe complains of defendant Shannon Sharpe, and for a cause of action would respectfully show this honorable court the following. A woman can say yes to consensual sexual relations with a man 99 times, but when she says no even once, that no means no. Now, I got to agree with that, guys. As I said in the last live stream, honey, I don't care how many times a woman said yes, or hell, a man says yes. No means no. And that goes for anybody who does sex work as well, honey. Prostitute, porn stars, OnlyFans models, even if they're in sex work, no means no. People get to control when, where, and how. All right? Defendant Shannon Sharpe, a man who is accustomed to getting what he wants, completely fails to understand this basic concept. After many months of manipulating and controlling plaintiff, a woman more than 30 years younger than he, and repeatedly threatening to brutally choke and violently slap her, Sharpe refused to accept the answer no and great plaintiff, despite her sobbing and repeated screams of no. Defendant Shannon Sharpe is a 56-year-old former NFL superstar. He claims to be one of the most successful sports media personalities in the country. Plaintiff is a young woman in her early 20s, and in 2023, plaintiff was working out at a gym in LA, California, when Sharpe approached her for the first time. Previously, Doe had noticed Sharpe watching her during her workouts. At this time, Doe was just 19 years old. At the time, she did not know who he was, only that he was another older man oogling her at the gym. Doe could tell Sharpe was much older than her. She found him physically intimidating. Eventually, he introduced himself. At his determined insistence, she gave him her number. Over the next couple of weeks, Sharpe incessantly pursued plaintiff. He constantly approached her at the gym and attempted to contact her frequently with phone calls and text messages, asking to meet up, unwilling to take no for an answer. Eventually, plaintiff gave in and agreed to meet with Sharpe outside of the gym. However, before doing so, Sharpe demanded that Joe sign a non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, something plaintiff found a bit concerning. She wondered why Sharpe was so insistent on her signing an NDA. She refused. Despite his repeated efforts to get her to sign, she refused time and time again. Eventually, he dropped the issue and invited her to his house. Girl, it's, it's things I be, Let me keep it to myself. Let me keep it to myself for now. What followed was the beginning of a rocky consensual relationship that lasted nearly 2 years. Their relationship was very unequal. Sharpe is more than 30 years older, is considerably wealthier, is physically much larger, and exponentially stronger. Sharpe is famous and has power. Plaintiff and Sharpe saw each other on his terms, on his schedule, as often as 4 times a week. Over time, plaintiff began to see Sharpe's true nature. She found him to be dishonest about his whereabouts. He would lie about seeing other women while insisting to her that she and he were exclusive. He often manipulated her, at times being sweet and loving to get what he wanted, and at other times being angry and aggressive to achieve his goals. She discovered over time that Sharpe was extremely emotional and possessed an uncontrollable temper. He displayed the characteristics of a true narcissist. He wielded his power, his influence, and his celebrity to control plaintiff and get exactly what he wanted whenever he wanted it, all the while jealousy guarding what he considered his for himself. By October of 2024, Sharpe's behavior had grown progressively worse beyond anything plaintiff had experienced with him before. At this point, he was insistent upon recording their sexual activities, sometimes without her knowledge. Sharpe was also sharing the videos with others without her permission or knowledge. Sharpe would repeatedly tell Doe that he wanted to do what he wanted to do to her, things that would make no other man want her. By this point, Sharpe was no longer able to credibly maintain that their relationship was exclusive. He had at this point accidentally or purposely, to advance his career, went live on Instagram while having sex with another woman. Sharpe flew into fits of anger when plaintiff noted his infidelity to their relationship or called him out about his extraneous, I ain't even pronouncing that word, girl, activities, girl. What had once been manipulation, control, and intimidation. Hold on, wait, I can't go no further. There are some concerning variables in this whole thing. For one, coming out of the gate with Tony Busby representing her after he just got his ass mollywopped, whooped, and exposed for being a sham attorney who not only tried to take advantage of another Black wealthy individual in the industry, Jay-Z, but also tried to get one over, not even one over, tried to get 15 overs on the whole court system itself by not going through proper protocol and seeking the proper permission to even represent and try any case in the state of New York, especially with him being a Texas-based attorney. So right out of the gate, girl, is already looking funky tied as hell. Secondly, the fact that in the lawsuit, at some point she highlights how, one of the deal breakers was the fact that he was hooking up with other women. It wasn't the fact that he was apparently intimidating from the beginning. I also kind of don't. There's something weird about the way this lawsuit is written as a whole, because it pretty much paints her as some scared woman from the beginning who never really wanted Sharpe, and it's set up to imply that she only gave in to pressure. There seemingly seems to be kind of like no accountability at all on old girl, like zero, like none. And even after she said yes, and even after she saw all these telltale signs, he's emotional, he's controlling, he tried to get me to sign an NDA. I was concerned from the beginning, and yet you kept stepping in to the situation. You had all these polarizing red flags, according to her, whether those red flags are considered red flags or not. Some people may not consider a man being persistent. If you don't just all out tell a man no, most men are going to just keep naturally throwing their shot, because they just think that, you might just be playing hard to get, or whatever the hell men tell themselves to justify being persistent. Okay. So, I don't know if her red flags obviously wouldn't be every woman's red flags, but if according to her, there was just 50 trillion red flags everywhere. I mean, from the beginning, he's big, he's black, he's tall, he's powerful, he's wealthy. Yeah. All things according to those text messages, baby, that actually made him a perfect candidate instead of a perfect opponent. But we'll get back into that a little bit later on. But I also find it incongruent that this lawsuit doesn't establish, like, okay, so after she was shook, after she denied him, after all this, at what point did she begin to like the man? Because it never kind of goes into that. It's just like it starts off bad, and then it just consistently remains in a direction that is opposite of the desire of the plaintiff in this case. And I cannot really imagine that there was just nothing attractive about this situation, and that this man was completely off-putting from the very beginning, and that yet she decided to not only embark upon a relationship to somebody who made her so uncomfortable, and somebody so big and so tall and so black and so powerful and so persistent and so controlling, but yet continue to engage Shannon Sharpe, and then engaged him in such a way that she grew to be jealous of him paying other women attention, when, if according to everything this lawsuit is saying, she should have actually been appreciating the fact that there was somebody else distracting his ass from her. If we're taking everything that she's saying at face value, if we're taking everything that she's lining up for what it is, baby, she should have been damn happy when other Beckys entered the group chat, baby. That should have been her opportunity to haul ass, baby. I would have been encouraging his ass. Oh, girl. If I was her, if I felt like her after the accidental Instagram live stream with Michelle happened, baby, I would have been texting that nigga, can you send me Michelle address? I want to send her flowers, baby. I would have been encouraging Michelle, baby, to take up more time on the books, baby. Can you pencil your ass in, a good 4 or 5 days of the week, sugar, baby? I would have been encouraging these whores. Okay, but how you go from there not being any attractive, identifying, variable in this whole thing to then you jumping into being jealous? And it's a bad thing he's cheating on you? When you've already, according to your lawsuit, girl, he's been a bad idea from the beginning. Why would you be mad? How did it get to the point of being exclusive? You haven't even told us the love story. Based upon how you're narrating this thing, I don't understand how it went from all these bad feelings, all these bad optics, to the point that you feeling jealous and you feeling hurt and it getting exclusive. This doesn't make any sense. And the reason why it don't make sense is because something ain't right in the goddamn buttermilk. Right, Dazzle? Michelle would have been my damn safer. She must be colorblind if she didn't see the damn red flags, baby. Okay, Maybelline says the shakedown is right ill. Y'all thumbs. Okay, let's get back to the readathon, girl. Where was we? Hold on. Where we were. Okay, wait. Okay, true narcissism with his power influence. Okay, by October 24, Sharpe's behavior had grown progressively worse beyond anything plaintiff had experienced with him before. At this point, he was insistent upon recording their actual activities, sometimes without her knowledge. Sharpe was also sharing the videos with others without her permission or knowledge. Sharpe would repeatedly tell Doe that he wanted to do things to her, things that would make no other man want her. By this point, Shannon was no longer able. Okay, I read all that. Okay, here it is. He had at this point accidentally or purposely to advance his career, went live on Instagram while having sex with another woman. Sharpe flew into fits of anger. What had once been manipulation, control, and intimidation now became something far more dangerous and sinister. Sharpe even figured out how to get into Doe's apartment complex without her permission. Sharpe made it clear that what Doe wanted was of no moment, that Sharpe would get what he wanted when he wanted it. In October 2024, Shannon Sharpe violently actually assaulted an anally raped plaintiff 2 different times in Las Vegas, Nevada, blatantly ignoring her request for him to stop. He did it again in January. Plaintiff left Nevada to temporarily escape defendant Shannon Sharpe. She now seeks justice through this action and other means. Plaintiff seeks compensatory and punitive damages in the matter in excess of 50 million big ones. Okay, now before we go further, I wonder, if this woman got anally sodomized on 2 different occasions, I'm a gay man. I've done my fair share of bottoming in my relationships. I can barely take dick even when it's well lubricated, and even when, a man is taking his time, girl, I still have to have all infinity stones. Okay, in order to take pain in the ass. I cannot imagine someone being anally raped without needing medical attention. I know people who have had consensual anal sex and still had to be hospitalized. I know people that have had anal sex consensually and comfortably and still had their eyebrows charred off in the process, baby. So I'm wondering if there's going to be any evidence, that she's going to be able to submit that coincide with maybe hospital trips, treatments, any type of surgery, and because it's Tony Busby representing her, I have to assume no real lead work has been done. I have to assume that there's very little evidence to support Jane Doe's claims. We may not have ever experienced Jane Doe until now, but we've already experienced how Tony Busby got down. This is the kind of attorney that takes on cases that he does not vet in hopes that folk are going to settle out of court and eventually just want to mediate out of court. We know that he didn't do no lead work when it came to the other Jane Doe against Diddy, and neither did he do it with Jane Doe against Jay-Z. So I have to assume that this is repeated behavior on Tony Busby's part. But considering how controlling they were and the fact that she's claiming this was an actual consensual relationship, despite some non-consensual acts taking place in the 2-year period, there should be more than enough evidence on Jane Doe's behalf to support her claims. And I cannot wait until the discovery, unfolds to see how much evidence Jane Doe has to support her allegations, because she should have 2 years worth of text messages. She should have, we already know text messages definitely exist. Hell, Shannon Sharpe had his own. All right. Is there any evidence to Shannon Sharpe showing his friends and family these homemade amateur videos between he and her? And once again, if she was anally sodomized, did she get hospitalized? Did she have, treatment done to deal with that trauma to her genitals? All of the things. I'm also curious to know, not that it kind of really matters, because when it comes to being a victim, and once again, I'm not here to say she is a real victim. I'm not here to say that Shannon Sharpe is a real villain. I don't know what the hell going on, but sometimes victims don't consult with the authorities, but I'm wondering why she didn't get the authorities involved, especially the first time that she was raped. It just seems to be like a lot of interesting things that are missing here, and just a lot of things that just don't make any damn sense. I'm not sure it. Look, anyway. Parties. Plaintiff Jane Doe is an individual residing in Clark County, Nevada. Defendant Shannon Sharpe is the individual residing jurisdictional and venue. All right. Factual allegations related to all claims. Defendant Shannon Sharpe is a former NFL superstar and a well-known sports media personality. After a 14-season career in the NFL, he is considered by some to be one of the greatest tight ends of all time. No pun intended, baby. He is a 3-time Super Bowl champion and recently inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. The only evidence Tony Busby had was, NFL images of Shannon Sharpe that looked like AI, to be honest. Upon retirement, Shannon Sharpe transitioned into sports broadcasting, quickly achieving success in the industry. Sharpe spent several years at CBS Sports before moving to Fox, where over a decade he built a reputation for his strong opinions and hot takes. In 2023, Sharpe joined ESPN, where he remains employed today. In addition to working at ESPN's First Take, Sharpe hosts his own widely followed podcast, interviewing high-profile athletes, entertainers, and public figures. Sharpe claims he made as much as $6 million from one episode of his podcast. Wow. And is alleged to be signing a multi-million-dollar deal with the Volume Media Group, which I told you guys I wondered if this is if this part of the lawsuit was strategic on Tony Busby's behalf. It's ironic that Shannon Sharpe is about to, quadruple his wealth and about to sign a multi-million-dollar deal, and then kaboom, amidst that slides in a lawsuit from Tony Busby. Very convenient, very timely. Too timely to ignore. Sharpe's legacy extends beyond the field and media, and in one glaring area, it is not good. Sharpe has a documented history of abusing. Okay, I didn't know this. Do y'all know anything about this part? That Sharpe has a documented history of abusing and mistreating women? Wow. Okay, it goes on. As an example, he is currently a defendant in a lawsuit before the Supreme Court of New York, facing claims from a woman of intentional infliction of emotional distress, amongst other allegations. Many of the factual allegations in the New York case are eerily similar to his actions toward plaintiff here. All right, so we may have to I may have to look into this. I did not know this. Had y'all heard about this alleged current litigation involving Shannon Sharpe? Had y'all heard this? Hey Cheryl, hey boo. Had y'all heard the deal about this girl that Shannon Sharpe was out her in a whole fucking system? There's like literally no media coverage of this. This is wild. But this is Tony Busby, girl. We don't know how much of this is true. But let's say that that's true. Let's say that there's another woman who done filed suit and who is accusing Shannon Sharpe of emotional distress. Now, once again, I don't know what these circumstances are. I don't know whether this is an employee, a neighbor, another ex-girlfriend. I don't know whether it's one of his escorts, baby. I don't know who the woman is. Setting that aside, two things can be true at the same time. That Shannon Sharpe is being accused by another woman, but it also doesn't make these accusations per se true either. Just like we're learning in the Diddy case. Some claims appear to be legit, such as the claims by Cassie, which have now been backed up by material evidence. But then we also know that a lot of the other claims and civil lawsuits that have been filed against Diddy have been complete shams. So just because Shannon Sharpe is in a current litigation, and once again, even Tony Busby had to say a current litigation, which means that there's been no conclusion even in that case either. So for all we know, Shannon Sharpe could also be innocent. That litigation apparently has not been resolved as of yet. And because Tony Busby is so clever and conniving and snakish, for all we know, Tony Busby could have dug a little bit into what Shannon Sharpe got going on civilly and legally to see, what his legal profile is made up of, and could have used some of the claims by this other woman in the lawsuit he's mentioning and kind of filtered that into Jane Doe's current allegations against Shannon Sharpe in order to attempt to make the claims against him right now look even more legit. Okay? It happens all the time. And if Tony Busby got any degree of intelligence in him, he would also have a vested interest in learning from his past mistakes and attempting to be a little bit better, baby, at coming up with convincing lies, which is why he's ironically using this other alleged litigation Shannon Sharpe is in with another woman, because he more than likely referenced it to help to create, the substance of Miss Gabriella's claims in this lawsuit. Many of the factual allegations in the New York case are eerily similar to his actions toward plaintiff. Yeah, and we wonder why. Is it eerily similar because you done made it eerily similar? You done extracted from that lawsuit, okay, and mirrored that into this lawsuit so that you could seemingly, be more convincing about these claims. Because but look at this. Well, he did this similarly. He had similar behavior toward another woman. You could have manufactured that for all we know, Miss Busby. According to the New York lawsuit, Sharpe forcefully subdued the plaintiff in that case, forcing her to her knees and subjecting her to non-consensual oral sex despite her repeated protests. How in the hell could there be a whole separate litigation, y'all, against Shannon Sharpe of sexual assault that we've never heard of? I'm going to look into this. Street Committee, if y'all find the filing, let me know, because we're going to need the case number on this. How in the hell Shannon Sharpe, as popular as he is, got this whole alleged lawsuit happening behind the fourth wall? Jesus. Despite her repeated protests, when she resisted, he persisted. He would not take no for an answer. According to the New York lawsuit, the plaintiff therein feared for her safety, just as plaintiff fears for her safety now. The New York lawsuit further alleges that Sharpe escalated to non-consensual vaginal penetration, all while telling her that he would, quote, make it so no other man would want her. These words were apparently not a one-time thing. Plaintiff herein, too, has heard Sharpe say those exact words to her. All right, so once again, girl, is Tony Busby just trying to mirror him and this lady are co-angling a narrative and trying to legitimize their own claims by using another litigation involving another accuser? Or is there some truth here? I mean, abusers typically do have patterns. You know, zebras don't change their stripes. Or is this the creative, fictitious storytelling of two clever thinking individuals? And I'm going to be honest, I'm shocked that Shannon Sharpe has a separate litigation. This is the only one that we've heard of. So this is actually wild. I'm going to look into that separate lawsuit. In September of 2024, Sharpe live streamed himself on accident having sex with a woman. Upon information and belief, he did so on purpose to seek media exposure and to extract social media views and attention. To live stream himself, he would have had to deliberately swipe right on Instagram to activate the live feed. Sharpe claims it was accidental. However, discreetly recording sex without his partner's knowledge is something he is known to do. He did so with the plaintiff herein. Plaintiff discovered that Sharpe had been secretly recording their sexual encounters without her consent. When she confronted him, he summarily dismissed her claims, claiming the videos were for his own personal use. That too was a lie. Upon information and belief, Sharpe on multiple occasions shared the recordings with his friends and associates. At one point, he even forced plaintiff to have sex with him while FaceTiming one of his childhood friends named Bucket. What the hell? Whenever plaintiff would get up the courage to object to Sharpe's outrageous conduct, which was not often, he would aggressively and angrily, quote, put her back in her place. Shannon Sharpe isn't just a sports icon, he's something far worse. He is a flawed, narcissistic individual who has spent years using his fame, power, and influence to manipulate, control, subjugate, and violate women. With the suit, plaintiff intends to put an end to the egregious conduct. Suing him civilly is not going to put an end to anything. Trying him criminally would have put a real dent in his ability to allegedly violate other women. Suing him civilly only allows you to walk away with a payout. There's nothing about suing him civilly that keeps him from hurting other women, keeps him from abusing other women. So I'm not sure why that line is there. January 2023, hell, suing him civilly doesn't even keep him from abusing her ass, to be quite honest. There's no restraining order, no protective order, which is another question. Why are those things, why have none of those things been imposed? You done been cheated on, you was uninterested from the beginning, you found him to be menacing, emotional, and controlling from the beginning. You persisted on continuing to date him, etc. And then you were not only assaulted actually once, you were assaulted twice. And there was no police intervention. And we have no mention of any type of protective orders or criminal charges or anything. And now you're sitting up here with Tony Busby out of all people. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good on the plaintiff's part. It ain't none of this working out in her favor. However, the mention of this separate lawsuit involving another woman who was claiming sexual assault is very interesting. And I want to look into that. Sharpe first met plaintiff at a LA gym in early 2023. Sharpe would deliberately watch Doe in such a way to make sure she knew he was watching her. One day, as plaintiff finished a set and turned around, she found Sharpe standing inches behind her. Sharpe told her he had noticed her at the gym and wondered why she had not introduced herself. This was the first time they spoke. Plaintiff at the time, who had just turned 22 years old, was caught off guard and was face to face with a 54-year-old man she had never met. Plaintiff did not know at the time who Shannon Sharpe was. She did not know what to say nor how to feel about his advances. During their first conversation, Sharpe proposed a challenge, a competition to see who could lean out faster. The prize, if plaintiff won, he would buy her fake tits. Plaintiff was stunned. The implication that she needed or wanted such a thing was wildly inappropriate. Hearing it from a stranger more than 30 years her senior made it even more disturbing. And you know what's even more disturbing than that? Going forth and dating him anyway. All of the horrors, right? Throughout their subsequent encounters at the gym, Sharpe made sure plaintiff understood who he was, a celebrity, a TV personality. Over the following week, Sharpe made himself unavoidable. He was at the gym when she was. He constantly called and texted demanding she come to his Beverly Glen mansion. Plaintiff repeatedly declined and made up excuses to make her seem too busy to see him, but he would not stop. Sharpe would not be deterred. Eventually, plaintiff gave in, but before she could meet him outside of the gym, Sharpe made another demand. She had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. He refused to explain why and would not let her see a copy of the proposed agreement. He simply insisted she sign one. Plaintiff refused. After multiple attempts, when he realized she would not cooperate, he finally dropped the issue. The first night, plaintiff went to Sharpe's house. The experience was unlike anything she had dealt with before, disturbing, unsettling, and given his subsequent conduct, very illuminating, and yet continued in a 2-year whole relationship with him. How about that? When plaintiff arrived at his house, Sharpe opened the door to his Beverly Glen mansion without a word, no greeting, no acknowledgement, no small talk, without so much as looking at plaintiff. He simply turned away from her after opening the door and walked upstairs. Plaintiff hesitated but followed as she did not know what else to do or where else to go. And once again, these are my issues with the narrating. I don't understand how. Do Tony Busby just not ever really try to make anything make sense and then wonder why his tea gets clocked immediately? Because so far, this woman looks out of her goddamn mind. There has been nothing but red flags. Let her tell it from the very beginning. She never tells us what, because as a whole adult woman, at some point, like, you got to activate in this whole story. Shannon is not in this situation by himself. You also have a brain. You also have, autonomy. At what point between going to his house finally and all of the uncomfortable shit that had happened up until you finally spending a long time with a man you was creeped out with from the beginning, did it get sweet? My issue with the narrating is that there's no sweet point, which actually makes her look more bizarre than Shannon. Where's the transition here? Because there's supposed to be a part where he begins to be sweet, he's love bombing, he's appealing to all of her comfortabilities. So, her guard comes down. Instead, she's literally saying, I just walked into all the punches, y'all. This big, black, tall, menacing man who was persistently stalking and sexually harassing me at the gym, just kept pressing on me and pressing on me and pressing on me. He was insulting from the beginning. I continued for whatever reason I gave him my actual number. I communicated with him, in fact. I never reported him to the gym supervisor. I never found myself somewhere else to work out at. And every encounter has been off-putting, and it's been off-putting all the way up to me deciding to spend a long time with him in his house. That makes no rational sense. None. I mean, this woman might as well should have just went out on the interstate, found the whitest van, and just decided to jump into the back of it, girl, with human traffickers. Just go finding the trafficking of it all. There is literally no type of sensible transition that lets us make sense of why she kept leaning in, why she kept aligning herself with him, despite there being nothing but consistent red flags. The shit don't make no goddamn sense. When plaintiff arrived at his house, Sharpe opened the door to his Beverly Glen mansion without a word, no greeting, no acknowledgement, no small talk. Without so much as looking at plaintiff, he simply turned around from her after opening the door and walked upstairs. Plaintiff hesitated. Girl, I ain't gonna make it. Am I gonna make it, y'all? Am I gonna make it? I don't know how much more I can make. She had another premonition. One of the 50 million 11 bad vibes concerning everything concerning, girl. She never concerned her ass away from Shannon Sharpe, girl. She never concerned her ass to work at another gym or to concern herself with calling the police because this man is harassing her at the gym. She never reported him to any of the gym administrators. She was never not that concerned. And yet Curious George bouncing on down the yellow brick road anyway. I don't understand. She hasn't articulated anything in Shannon's approach that suggests why she should now be at his home alone. Nothing. She hasn't said anything yet that makes that make sense. If anything, everything she said makes it completely clear as to why she should not be alone with him on his property, on his turf, at his home. He simply turned away from her, opening the door, and walked upstairs. Now, this is how he acts with her just pulling up. Sis, why did you go in, ma'am? Ma'am, why did you go in? I'm just entertaining your story the way that you narrating it, okay? I'm gonna follow your narration. Clearly, we know with Tony Busby being a part of this shit, girl, that, once again, none of this is probably even true. And damn sure didn't happen like this. But just dealing with what you gave us, your story, girl. So why did you go? Well, why did you walk through the door? Why didn't you call you a cab right there and in? Plaintiff hesitated, but once again, beyond hesitation, baby, proceeds forward. But followed, of course she did, as she did not know what else to do or where else to go. It's called home. It's called home. You had your phone. He had walked away, girl. He didn't even so much as, formally escort you into the chateau. Right there, you could have used your phone to call a Lyft, an Uber, to call for help, a helicopter, to call the Trump administration for help. You didn't know what else to do. What do you mean? What are you talking about, sis? When they reached the bedroom, okay, so then you scared, you shook. This man done been terrifying to you since you met him. Now you in his house with a flavor of love gown on, waiting for a damn clock around your damn neck, but you shook. And then you gon', despite how off-putting and weird he's acting, not speaking to you, not looking at you, and then walking off into the house, a house you don't know nothing about, with a man you already scared of, and then you gonna go into the house and you're gonna actually follow him, and then you're gonna let him lead you to a bedroom, a more enclosed space, instead of sitting your ass out there on the steps under the moonlight. Make it make sense. But according to her, girl, she did not know what else to do or where else to go. When they reached the bedroom, Sharpe pointed to the bed before disappearing into the bathroom and shutting the door behind him. He still had not said a word. Plaintiff sat on the bed, waiting, unsure of what to do. Always unsure, always hesitant, always scared, always nervous, always having a panic attack, but couldn't use any of those feelings to sit her ass at home. Couldn't use none of them feelings to not ever communicate with this man. Couldn't use none of her... Girl, what is the point of having the ability to be afraid if you just gonna sit your ass in the belly of the beast any damn way? What is the point of having a woman's intuition? What is the point, girl, of being capable of feeling shooketh only to still sit your ass in the belly of the beast anyway? He still had not said a word. Plaintiff sat on the bed, waiting, unsure of what to expect or if she should leave. Roughly 5 minutes later, he finally emerged, but still he said nothing. Instead, he turned off the lights and laid down on his bed. Plaintiff, uncomfortable and unsure of what to do, lay down as well. For roughly 10 minutes, there was nothing but silence. Wait a minute. This lady, uncomfortable and scared, laid down. Even though he had not asked her to. He didn't say, bitch, pulled out them drawers. No, nothing. She just go willfully lay down on a man that ain't spoke to her, who's acting terrifying, who acting like this is a scene out of Scream 5. And she go lay down and make herself more vulnerable. She just go lay down, girl, into the suspense and the vulnerability of it all. I actually now got a whole hypothesis, but I'ma share that when this scenario rounds up. Rumors, you hear this shit? Do you hear this? He still had not said a word. Plaintiff sits on the bed, waiting, unsure of what to expect or if she should leave. Roughly 5 minutes later, he finally emerges, but still he said nothing. Instead, he turned off all the lights and laid down on the bed. So now the room is completely pitch black. He ain't so much as said hi to her. He lays down on the bed. She's uncomfortable, unsure of what to do. See, this is the gag. You can't claim she ain't know what to do and then proceed to tell us what she did, which is she laid her ass down as well. So much for not knowing what the hell to do. For roughly 10 minutes, there was nothing but silence. Then, without warning, Sharpe placed his hands on plaintiff's neck from behind, pressed his erect penis against her body, and said his first words of the night, quote, "I knew from the first time I saw you that I was going to F you." Doe and Sharpe then engaged in oral sex. As they did so, Doe at some point realized Sharpe was using his phone. He was apparently recording her. Oh shit, hold on. My shit done skipped. Plaintiff could see that he was trying to be discreet, but it was obvious what he was doing. She said nothing, scared to confront him for what he might do or say. Oh, baby, you no longer have access to the fear narrative. You no longer have access, girl, to the damsel in distress running through the woods with her bra hanging off of her areola, girl, shaking and talking in a cold, withered, damaged voice, girl, looking to your left and to your right for any pathway out of danger. Because you've already walked completely into the whole damn arena consensually. This man didn't even tell you to come in. You willfully came in. This man didn't even tell you to lay your ass down. You willfully laid your ass down. All these things have been willful. She said nothing, scared to confront him for what he might do or say. When it ended, he rolled over and went to sleep. At some point later the night, Sharpe woke up and grabbed plaintiff by her vagina and began having sex with her. Now, she says the man went to sleep, and yet she didn't tiptoe her motherfucking ass out of the house. Apparently, he already done recorded her and all. She didn't try to grab the phone, break it to destroy the evidence, take it with her while she tiptoed on. No, girl, I mean, has no type of danger, stranger awareness, girl, have no type of situational awareness, nothing. The next morning, Sharpe woke up at roughly 4 a.m. to shoot a media segment for sports television. He woke plaintiff as well and told her, and she managed, despite being so scared, so shook, recorded and all, to actually have gone to sleep. When anybody else would have been finding the nearest goddamn open window, no, she managed to magically, peacefully go to sleep amidst danger. He woke plaintiff as well and told her she needed to leave, but he informed her that she had to be back by 9 p.m. exactly. The following night, plaintiff arrived at Sharpe's house at approximately 9:05 p.m., just 5 minutes past the time he had demanded. The moment he opened the door, plaintiff experienced his rage for the first time. Sharpe immediately launched into a verbal assault. He screamed at plaintiff, berating her for what felt like hours. He accused her of disrespecting him, wasting his time, and warned that if she wanted to be with the Shannon Sharpe, she would have to learn obedience. Plaintiff was terrified and feared for her physical safety. Still enraged, Sharpe turned off the lights, grabbed her neck, and just like the night before, began having actual intercourse with her. This cycle of control, fear, and submission became routine, yelling at her, controlling her, forcibly grabbing her by the neck when he got upset, saying he was going to unalive her, and asserting dominance became the norm. Over the next year and a half, plaintiff saw Sharpe at his house as often as 4 times a week. Sharpe continued to treat her like an object, something that she had actually been treated like from the beginning. He continued to control her, not just physically, but emotionally and psychologically. He demanded complete control over her time and body, expecting her to be at his house on his schedule at his demand whenever he called. The verbal abuse never stopped. He would berate and degrade plaintiff just as he had from the beginning. One time specifically, he was yelling at her while there was a firearm visible in the room. Terrified for her safety, the plaintiff tried sharing her location with friends from her iPhone just in case. But Sharpe saw her doing this. The moment he realized what she was doing, he grabbed her by the neck and told her, "If you ever do that again, I will effing kill you." Sharpe's aggression and rage continued to escalate to the point that plaintiff's friends began to fear for her safety. For example, when plaintiff was with her friends, they could hear Sharpe yelling at her over the phone and would ask her if she was safe and if she was okay. In the summer of 2024, plaintiff and Sharpe each moved to Las Vegas for their own reasons. Sharpe likely to say that the plaintiff followed him to Vegas, but that too is a lie. Once in Vegas, Sharpe again insisted that plaintiff signed an NDA. She refused, and again he persisted, but after enough resistance, he let it go and continued seeing her multiple times a week. His behavior did not change. He remained erratic, controlling, and verbally abusive, all while telling plaintiff that he was committed to an actually exclusive relationship with her. Then in September of 2024, Sharpe humiliated plaintiff. He live streamed himself having sex with another woman on Instagram. Right, because this is the deal breaker, right? For over 1.1 million followers to see. He later made jest of the incident on his podcast club, Shay Shay and Now Nightcap. But for plaintiff, it was anything but funny. He had repeatedly assured her they were in an exclusive relationship. Now, why in the hell would you be mad that an abusive rapist controlling you verbally and sexually abusing you is with another woman? Why in the hell would that mean anything to you? You never told us at any point you fell in love with this man. You never at any point told us that he had a GUN to your goddamn head. You continued to date him despite how rude he was from the beginning, how scary he had been throughout. You never identified any attractive marker to us at any fucking point. And now you end up hurt as if you're someone that genuinely loved and valued him when you never even got into that part of the story either. It doesn't make any narrating sense. it makes there's no logical sense in any of this. This is just like a horror story out of, the Goosebumps series. And even fictitious scary stories have climaxes and build-ups and everything else. Nothing just happens this way. He repeatedly assured her that they were in an exclusive relationship as if she should have wanted to be in a damn. Why would you? How you gonna say he the one forcing you to be with him, but you mad that he's cheating on you? No sense. There's no fucking sense to this at all. He's holding you hostage, but yet you're hurt that he's cheating on you in a relationship you want us to believe he's forcing you into. That makes no sense. There's no logic to that emotional response to his infidelity. This lie not only hurt her, she says, it made her fear for her actual health and the risk of actually transmitted diseases. As if a man being this power hungry and controlling was not fearful enough, was not circumstance enough for you to fear for your actual health, baby. It took you seeing him with another woman to make you concerned when you should have been your sexual health. Bitch, what about your actual life? You said he berated the hell out of you while there was a GUN president around. And that's another gag. She never makes any claim that she's what? Did she make claim that she was afraid for her damn life? At this point, plaintiffs begin to pull away from Sharpe. Now, you know what? Let me keep reading. She stopped answering his phone calls, stopped telling him where she was, all things she could have did from the beginning. Because she never ever told us at any point that he became lovable, that he became adorable, that he became alluring, interesting to her. So how is it that you now have all of this autonomy simply because you now been hurt that he's cheating in a relationship he's forcing you to be in according to you? And now you're doing all the things that you could have did from the beginning? You could have not answered his calls from the beginning. You could have not gave him your number from the beginning. You could have not communicated with him from the beginning. You could all this shit could have been done from the beginning. You all of a sudden now capable of doing this? And it's all off the heels of him fucking the shit out of Michelle on camera. You ain't stopped answering his calls when he had his goddamn neck, his hands around, his big ass NFL hands around your neck. When he's cussing you the hell out on the phone. Oh no, don't pull out stopping now. You don't pull out and make any decision to break free until your feelings are hurt over a man, according to the story, we trying to figure out how the hell you would even fall in love with. Y'all thumbs up. At this point, plaintiff began to pull away. She stopped answering his phone calls and stopped telling him where she was when he would demand to know. Plaintiff's feeble attempts at freedom and independence further upset Sharpe. He began flooding her phone with calls, demanding to know where she was. He called relentlessly multiple times per hour. The harassment became so unbearable that plaintiff frequently began leaving Nevada, determined to cut off communication, resist his efforts to control her, and attempt to reclaim some control of her life. It took courage for plaintiff to make this effort. She remained terrified, even though she was thousands of miles away. Sharpe simply would not. She remained terrified. She moved, etc. Never got the police involved. Why would you not get the police involved? You're making every other step. Sharpe simply would not accept independence or freedom for plaintiff in October 2024. Just after plaintiff returned from Europe, Sharpe's behavior became more angry, aggressive, and now violent. On October 6th of 2024, plaintiff was working out at a Nevada gym. Following her usual routine as she worked out, she saw Sharpe aggressively approaching her. She's back in Nevada. She could tell back at the same gym she knows he frequents at. This makes... Anyway, she could tell by his look and the way he moved quickly towards her that he was furious for having been ignored. As soon as he got close, he told her, "Sit the fuck down or I'm going to unalive you." Plaintiff refused. "I don't want to talk to you. You cheated on me." You cheated on me. Not that you raped me. Not that you've been controlling toward me. The epic confrontation comes down to her being mad at him for cheating on her. And the fact that Tony Busby went forward with this, it's just, Tony Busby is a piece of dookie. Just a total crap in the bucket, low barrel motherfucker. And the fact that there are people like this practicing law, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. His response was dismissive and controlling as usual. You don't have a choice. Sharpe demanded that they talk in private. Again, plaintiff told him no. She made it clear she did not want to talk to him, be alone with him. I want him coming to her home. But Sharpe didn't care. He never took no for an answer. Sharpe forced plaintiff under threat to get into his car and go to her house. Once Sharpe was inside her apartment, plaintiff tried to keep the conversation in the living room, but Sharpe refused. Oh, you try to keep the conversation in the living room when you could have kept the conversation at the gym. Sis. He demanded they go to the bedroom, she said. No, he didn't listen, nor did he care. Once inside the bedroom, Sharpe grabbed her from behind and forcibly positioned her to perform oral sex. He held her in place and then forced her to begin performing. He became angrier and said, quote, "You've disrespected me so much, I'm going to punish this a-hole. I'm going to make it so that no man will want you again." Plaintiff at this point was crying and sobbing. Tears streamed down her face as Sharpe repositioned her and took her from behind and inserted his penis into her anus. As he forcibly anally raped her, he said, "Turn around and look at me." Sharpe grabbed her head, forcing her to look at him as she sobbed. He said, "At that point, look at this, look at my arm. I've got chills. That's how good this is." Sharpe forced himself on the plaintiff and raped her despite her sobbing in agony as it happened. He told her in the moment as she was crying that the experience was so good it was giving him chills. Sharpe's behavior demonstrates that he believed plaintiff to be his personal property, possessed and owned by him. He also believed that the laws did not apply to him and that he could take what he wanted and that no one could or would stop him. He was and is wrong. On January 2nd of this year, Sharpe told plaintiff he wanted to see her. Sharpe persisted and reminded plaintiff that he had a combined Christmas and birthday gift to give her, as he previously promised her a gift. She ultimately allowed him to come over to her apartment. She regrets that decision. Once inside her apartment, Sharpe began undressing. Plaintiff firmly stated multiple times that they would not have sex without protection, demanding that he wear a condom. She knew that in the past he refused to use condoms and believed that her demand would stop him from having sex with her. But although he refused to use a condom, he still insisted on sex. She tried to resist him. She screamed. She had already expressed concerns for her safety, knowing that he had been involved with other women, increasing the risk of transmitting a disease. Y'all, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. The more she begged, Sharpe became more aggressive and made it clear that he would not wear a condom and he was going to have his way with her. Sharpe grabbed her, pulling her around and positioning her to perform oral sex, which lasted for roughly 2 minutes. My God. I don't want no 2-minute man. In this case, it was a good thing he was a 2-minute man if we're taking what she's saying at face value. Then Sharpe repositioned her and roughly forced himself inside her. Plaintiff never stopped demanding and begging that he stop or put on a condom. Sharpe ignored. Hold on, wait a minute. What? Hold on. Hold on, wait a minute. So the man is graping you, and you're not begging him to stop graping you. You're begging him to use a condom while doing. if y'all don't get this shit the fuck away from me with this Apollo. If Apollo don't get this shit away from, do y'all understand what's happening here? He refused to use a condom. He insisted on sex. She tried to resist him. She screamed. She had already expressed concerns for her safety. The more she begged, Sharpe became more aggressive and made it clear that he would not wear a condom. He grabbed her, pulled her around, positioned her for oral X, which lasted for 20 minutes, then repositioned her and roughly forced himself inside her. She never stopped demanding and begging that he stop, or at the very least, put on a condom. You hear, just when you think you've heard literally it all, you hear something completely new. I have never in all of my years ever heard of a victim telling their assaulter amidst their grape to wear a condom, to put on a condom. I have never heard of such a thing. That is hijacking my brain right now. Just when I thought I have heard all types of things, I cannot imagine that someone in agony being forcibly raped has enough bandwidth to be uh uh this whole story is like, it's like a Tyler Perry film. It's like over the top and doesn't make any sense. There's nothing congruent about it. There's nothing rational about her behavior, yet alone his. The whole thing just seems like this seems like a rough draft of a Tyler Perry Studios production. Sharpe repositioned her and roughly forced himself inside her. Plaintiff never stopped demanding and begging that he stop or put on a condom. Sharpe ignored her. As soon as he penetrated her, plaintiff screamed and sobbed. Her cries for help did nothing to stop Sharpe. The assault lasted roughly 10 minutes. Ended only when Sharpe ejaculated inside her. Plaintiff cried and begged repeatedly for him to stop. Plaintiff left Nevada after the assault. Plaintiff brings these causes of actions in the honorable court to recover damages as outlined below. It is imperative that Shannon Sharpe and those like him are held accountable for their actions to prevent them from engaging in further sexual assault and sodomy and harming future victims. Suing him civilly is not going to stop a goddamn thing from happening. This is not a criminal suit. It is a civil suit. So how the fuck is a civil suit supposed to stop him from engaging in further sexual assault and sodomy and harming other future victims? How is a civil suit supposed to accomplish that? Okay, so the first claim for relief is on assault, sexual assault, battery, and sexual battery. The second claim is for relief, which is intentional infliction of emotional distress. This is a demand for jury trial. Prayer for relief is general damages in the sum excess of 10 million, special damages in the sum of 10 million, punitive damages in a sum of 20 million, statutory penalties in a sum in excess of 10 million, declaration of rights as set forth above, attorney fees and cost of litigation, interest at the statutory rate, such other and further relief the court deems reasonable under premises. And of course, this is signed the fuck off by the Busby law firm to Judge Delahunty. Oh, well, I don't know if that's a judge, but it's been respectfully submitted. I'm going to tell y'all what I really believe is going on here. But before I do that, let's revisit what Shannon Sharpe responded with. After these foulings, kabloop, here it is. These are text messages that Shannon Sharpe presented via his attorney, Lanny J. Davis. Gabriella Zuniga, in a text message to Shannon Sharpe, October 7th of 2023, quote, I know you missed this big juicy ass. $25K for each cheek. The lawsuit filed by Gabriella and orchestrated by her attorney, Tony Busby, is a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharpe for millions of dollars. It is filed with lies, distortions, and misrepresentations, and it will not succeed in her effort to extract a large financial settlement. Ms. Zuniga presented Mr. Sharpe with a secretly recorded video of a consensual sexual encounter. We believe the video has been heavily edited and taken entirely out of context, crafted to falsely portray a consensual act as non-consensual. Ms. Zuniga has refused to provide a copy of the full unedited version of the recording to Mr. Sharpe's legal team. To set the record straight, we are releasing several of Ms. Zuniga's own explicit text messages to Mr. Sharpe that clearly indicate the nature of their relationship was consensual and sexual in nature, and in many cases initiated by her with specific and graphic requests. Contrary to the allegations she makes in her lawsuit, consensual sex continued until January 2nd of 2025, the day after she asked for $25K per cheek, as quoted from her text message to Mr. Sharpe. There are other examples of text from Ms. Zuniga, for example. Okay, first of all, one of the text messages read, I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're effing me. I'm going to tell y'all what my hypothesis is after we read these text messages again. Another text message, only if you put that baby gravy in me, then I can do whatever I want to me. She meant whatever you want to me. Only if you put that baby gravy in me, then you can do whatever you want to me. Another message, I want to put my tongue in your a-hole and then marry you, she says to Shannon Sharpe. Another text message, that's my daddy. Fuck, I want you to put a big black baby in me. Another text message, you better crave it because you're going to be stuck with it for life after you put a big black baby in me. These messages are just a sampling of a broader pattern of graphic sexual communications initiated by Ms. Zuniga. The evidence paints a clear picture. This was a consensual adult relationship that included role-playing sexual language and fantasy scenarios explicitly requested by Ms. Zuniga. The edited tape that Ms. Zuniga secretly taped and showed to Mr. Sharpe during her blackmail attempts tries to falsely portray as a result of this editing and out of context from prior text messages that the actual activity was not consensual. Mr. Sharpe now believes her secret taping was all part of her plan set up as part of her blackmail scheme, as distorted by her edited tape, a copy of which she refuses to make available to Mr. Sharpe or his counsel. Mr. Sharpe categorically denies any allegations of coercion or misconduct, especially the gross lie of rape, and will not submit to what he sees as an egregious attempt at blackmail. He stands firmly by truth and is prepared to fight these claims vigorously in court. He looks forward to vindication through due process and a judgment based on the facts and the motherfucking law. So, she's claiming in her lawsuit, girl, that he done secretly recorded her and then showed her all his friends and family. He's claiming in his response to her that she has recordings of him and her and have edited them in a way to make it appear as though he is assaulting her, and both of them are claiming that each other are liars and abusers and extortionists and everything else. I'm going to tell you what I believe here so far. Based upon those text messages that Sharpe dropped, okay, let me establish two things. Just because the relationship may have been consensual at times doesn't necessarily mean that he did not grape her at other times. Two things can be true at once. Interpersonal violence and interpersonal grape happens all the time. So one doesn't take away from the other. So, if there are people who want to believe that Shannon Sharpe is guilty, even if, it was once, that's fair. If this evidence isn't enough for some people, that's fair. Because two things can be true at once. They could have had a lot of consensual sex, and then there could have been a grape that occurred at some point or another. Okay, another hypothesis, which is the one that I'm kind of leaning more toward right now. It does appear that this was a consensual relationship. According to this woman's own lawsuit, none of her behavior makes any goddamn sense. None of her behavior makes it. I find her behavior just as shocking, bizarre, and weird as, her narrative of Shannon Sharpe. Nothing about her behavior makes any goddamn sense. None at all. The lawsuit is missing a lot of pieces and a lot of parts. It's just like all bad, which makes no sense. Why someone would continue to subject themselves to a situation that was completely horrendous and off-putting and disrespectful and insulting literally from day one. There's never a love story. There's never a mutual attraction that she establishes. There's never any adoration period. There's no goddamn nothing. Okay? It's just very bizarre that she would just continue to walk into the situation with him when he demonstrated no type of behavior that made her feel safe, that made her feel welcome, that made her feel secure as a woman. Everything was disrespectful. Everything was weird. She continued to align herself with him, communicate with him, go to his place alone. It's just, none of it makes no fucking sense. What it seems like is happening here is that I think the key point for me is her fixation on him cheating. He cheated. Even when she confronted him at the Nevada gym, she didn't confront him because he had been raping her. He didn't confront her because of anything, all the other shit that had been happening. She confronted him because he had been cheating on her. I think that's really the heart of this thing. I think the reason why Shannon Sharpe did not also reveal his responses to this woman, because it's clear that not only is she making statements, but she's also responding to Shannon Sharpe. This text thread that he submitted that redacted all of his responses clearly is a text thread where they're both exchanging freaky ass shit to each other. They both are throwing, their affections toward each other mutually, which also does dispel her narrative, because not one time in her lawsuit does she ever say she was attracted to him, she enjoyed sex with him. So the fact that she's caught red-handed talking about wanting to be tied up, talking about $25,000 per cheek, talking about wanting to eat his asshole, talking about all this shit. She never talks. She never says any. She never acknowledges any of that in her lawsuit, ever. She never tells us at which part, once again, which part did the relationship settle into play. It's given that this was a role-playing, transactional situation. When I put this whole lawsuit into the perspective of role play and kind of like a dom to sub dynamic, the situations that she is explaining, such as like, oh, he had a car come pick me up. He didn't speak to me. He didn't even look at me. He walked into the house first. I followed him, which is a dom sub dynamic, the act of submission. She casually was guided into the bedroom. He went in unchanged. He still didn't say anything. He laid on the bed. She followed cue. She laid down as well. This is dominatrix sub role playing. He's the dom, she's the sub. I remember listening to a very prolific adult entertainer by the name of King Noir. He has a wife. They have a adult entertainment production company. They do scenes together. They make money together. They have a whole brand. They also talk about dom sub dynamics. I remember one time he was talking about how he had a sub where, like, you know, they had like these keywords and cues and stuff, and that, you know, she had to play with her pussy if he said a particular, if he texted a certain word to her, she had to stop what she was doing and pleasure herself, and that kind of would go on throughout the day. All this stuff. So every dom sub dynamic is, like, you know, very different. Each session, each hookup session is set up with different rules. It's a different scenario. It's a different environment. They also do, people talking about race play. Guess what also is a fetish? Grape fetish. Grape fetish is also real in the fetish community. I don't know if y'all noticed, but there was a case that took place a long time ago between this, I don't want to call them couple because they weren't together, but these two people, a man and a woman, they had a fetish dynamic. They had a grape fetish dynamic. The woman wanted her dom to simulate a grape experience, but wanted him to go one step further and also murder her during the simulated grape experience. He actually did just that. When they had to try the case, they had to battle out this idea of whether you can charge someone for consenting to murdering someone, and if someone could even consent to being unalive. There was a whole thing. So grape fetish is also amongst the trillions of other fetishes. There was a whole fetish going on about 2 decades ago in New York, where there was a whole sector of the gay male population, the white gay male population in the state of New York, who had an HIV/AIDS fetish, where you had non-positive people who were looking for HIV positive people to infect them. The fetish community can range from simple dressing up like Superman and Lois Lane to fur babies to more extreme shit like having an STI, STD fetish, scat fetishes, grape fetishes. It gets very over the top as you ascend. Okay, the fetish community is a pyramid. Okay, it starts off with the most mundane of things and can get into, girl, the oblivion of it all. It seems like what happened is that this woman and Shannon had a transactional dom sub relationship. There also may have been some race play fetish entangled, maybe with some grape fetish like dynamics, where she's agreeing to be at total submission to him. Even the things she's saying back to him in text messages is very, like, submissive. Like, girl, you know, eat, you know, I want to eat your ass, impregnate me, you know, like, put a big black dick, you know. This is clearly a very, very submissive woman who's into very extreme submissions and submission styles and submission play. I think she got her feelings hurt when she heard Michelle A getting a big black baby put in her, when she heard Michelle A getting baby gravy put into her motherfucking ass. Hey, Marsha. Hey, boo. And I think this was a woman that ended up catching some hardcore feelings for Shannon Sharpe. She might have genuinely started catching some serious ass feelings as a result of getting her goddamn back and neck and asshole and everything blown the hell out, honey. She might have been falling in love, or maybe she got super territorial because, you know, she wanted to make sure she could do the ultimate grifting off of Shannon Sharpe. She got threatened when she realized there were other women involved. And the text messages that read $25K per cheek, that could have been a part of a conversation that they were having, or it also could have been her hitting him up because he had been rather absent at that point, and she was reminding him and letting him know, I know you over there missing this big, fat, juicy ass. You know, put 25K on it. I do believe that money has been exchanged between them, honey. I'm sure, you know, Shannon is probably going to have to really kind of embarrass himself in order to vindicate himself through this, because a discovery period is going to be epic. They're going to probably have to run bank receipts and all. This may be something that ends in mediation. I don't know. But he wouldn't be vindicated if they mediated and settled, because they could do that now. But I'm thinking that this is a transactional situation between two people who had fetishes, and now the sexual excursions and the nature of the relationship is being weaponized. That is what it is given so far. It is given that. It's given that. It's given that. It's given, girl, that this woman got pressed and bent over the fact that he hooked up with Michelle, girl, and she mad as hell, and she feels bamboozled and hoodwinked. Her ego has been completely blowed, and now she is punishing the fuck out of his ass. Now that she realizes, girl, he got the pick of the litter, that her asshole ain't special, her submission ain't special, her vagina ain't special, her dick sucking skills ain't special. And he over there giving that good race playing, great fetish playing ass peen to other bitches. Maybe she been trying to get in contact with him for a while. He been busy. Obviously, he's signing multi-million-dollar deals. She ain't seen him in a minute, and now she know he with other women. She is feeling like she getting played. Her ego turning up on her ass. And now, because of the nature of their relationship, being in the realm of Dom sub, it's very easy to make the things that happen in that relationship look like something that is actually not. Simply because they were simulating some very aggressive scenarios. They were simulating some things that are hardcore on the sexual side that make her look like a victim and make him look like a villain, when that was a part of the fetish dynamic to begin with. That was a part of the fetish play to begin with. That was a part of the Dom sub dynamic to begin with. And because she doesn't seem to be a professional escort, Shannon Sharpe more than likely did not get any of the paperwork necessary to make sure that this relationship was accounted for what it was legally on paper. And maybe that's what the NDA was about. I mean, she's saying that she didn't sign the NDA and didn't know what it was. The truth may be he was trying to get her to sign paperwork so that, you know, this whole thing could be consenting on both ends. She might have outwitted his ass by resisting because she knew in the end, if he got stupid or if he ever fell back and he became a non-prospect, that she would still be able to get his ass, on the back end with a claim like this. So she intentionally resisted, especially after seeing how bad he wanted her ass. No, I ain't signing no paperwork. You want this, boo? You're gonna have to do it without the NDA. And this is why niggas, when you think what you did, Shannon Sharpe, that's where you fucked up at, bitch. You wanted this lady so fucking bad. You was so pussy-matized. This woman was preying on you just as much as she was preying on her, baby. She could see the thirst and the desperation. And you fucked up by persisting and allowing yourself to engage with her in this scenario without her having to sign that motherfucking paperwork, which would have saved your ass. Now she was able to have 2 years worth of these type of interactions with you, and she gets to control the narrative and say that this was forcible, etc. And now it's your word for hers. Had you stuck with that paperwork, baby, you would have been aight. Yep, Scorpio, it could have been, yep, of course. Opportunist. And she used his lust and his horniness completely against him. A man's lack of sexual discipline has costed many nations and kingdoms and led to many wars. And still to this day, here we go. Here we go. And all the money he has, he could have gotten a first-class escort. Thinking with your dick. This is what not having any sexual discipline, this is where it can lead you. What's going on, Storm? Seems like the sub was really in control the whole time, and was. This was a woman who understood masculine nature, well studied in the art of thirsty ass niggas. Matter of fact, ironically, he met her in the gym, right? This was a woman who was invested in her appearance. This was a femme fatale. And Shannon Sharpe ass got. Shannon Sharpe fell for the femme fatale. This is a femme fatale, baby. This is her lane. This just where he play at. This is her expertise. For him, this is just his recess, his playpen. This is her university. She specializes in the art of seduction. She understands the male ego. And she got to alley-oop his ass out of signing that paperwork. And now they're here. Baby, she Kevin Featherline that nigga. And I ain't even mad at it. CTV, you could be the male Olivia Pope. They need to hire you to be there. I be telling these folk, baby. Baby, come fuck with the Kang. I'm gonna tell you how to keep your shit straight. I don't know why they sleeping on me high mental abilities. I know how to successfully navigate all this shit. They just need to come holler at the Kang. They would never lose. They would always be in the winning position. But you can't save these hoes. You can't save them. Can't save them, child. There's nothing nasty about an age gap between consenting adults. There's absolutely not, child. Long as everybody is consenting, child, Yeah, no. Got to get your freak on, girl. Of legal age and consent. Let me read some of these other comments. Shannon looks like he puts it down for a good 8 minutes in a great way. And do. Let me see. Let me scroll up, honey, because I did not see y'all comments. He needs to slow down, though. Younger girls can be immature and vindictive. That's the bottom line for her. The Black Panther said that's why it's sad for these older men messing with these younger girls. The girls are looking for security. She was definitely with him for the moolah, baby. So she's like old girl from 50 Shades of Dark. Shannon called ice on ass. Bitch, I'm screaming. Oh, Thorn been in the chat. CNC is a real thing. What's CNC, Storm? What's CNC? CNC is what? What's that acronym? High mental ability says, I know that there was a case when someone was choked to death from fetish of being choked. Yep. Well, I haven't said y'all remember that. There was being fetish of those who are negative and wanting to get HIV. Yep. Conscious, I have been laughing all day. What's going on, Marsha? Cheryl says, when does he have time for that kind of energy? She making it seem like he was obsessed with her. Yep. And probably was. Honey. There was mutually with the shits. Wow, this is the case where she got off of being choked. I believe that that's it. And I know it was a case from a long time ago. He wanted her to be where he wanted when she wanted. Sounds exactly like a Dom sub dynamic, says Crystal. I'm going to drop the link too for you guys to come up. Oh, consensual non-consent. Yep. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pull up something on consensual non-consent. I'm going to drop the link in case you guys want to come up, girl. What y'all think about this lawsuit, girl? I mean, you know, where y'all leaning at? I just dropped the link, child. Let me look up consensual non-consent meaning. Okay, consent, a mutual agreement between partners to be able to act as if sexual consent has been waived. Yes, God, that's exactly what it gives. And I mean, he just walked right into it. Damn. My. Let me see here. Allow all cookies. Consensual non-consent is a pre-agreed actual scenario where participants act out a non-consensual situation. Yep, it's a simulation of like non-consent. Pretty much, yeah. It could include things like forced sex or being force-fed. Actual fantasies are common amongst all genders and are completely normal. Having CNC actual fantasies is not an indication of a mental health disorder or problems. Fantasies are a healthy part of our sexuality. Your safety is important. Having a safe word and practicing aftercare can help you and your partner ensure this type of sex stays enjoyable and doesn't put either of you at risk. All right. Baby Storm will know all about that kind of shit, child. What's going on, Rumors and Tea?
Oh, child, you had me in the comments dying laughing. And I know it's not a funny matter by all means, you know,
Right.
but you just cannot be reading the way you be reading these soup.
I be trying.
And like, you just cannot. It be so hard sometimes to like take it serious, even though I know it's a serious matter.
I be trying.
But baby,
I
don't believe her, and I'm okay with not believing her because I'm quite frankly, I'm tired of believe the accuser first and this and that third. Like I'm super insulted and like literally tired. I'm exhausted as a survivor of sexual assault. I'm really exhausted of the false allegations. You know what I mean? So I can't help but to laugh to a certain extent so that it doesn't drive me crazy.
Right.
Because I do feel like, I feel like there should be, I'm really ready for the courts. I know why they won't do it, but I am ready for the courts to start penalizing these accusers.
Okay, so tell me why they won't do it. Tell me why they won't do it.
Because you have so many Karens, that would affect the Karens. You know, they perfected it. You know what I'm saying? That's their thing. So, you know, they can't do that. But I don't,
I say you're absolutely right.
Right. I find it strange and interesting that, first of all, she's a Latino. like the white Latinos. It seems like Tony has a preference. A lot of things was just going off, and I'm like, this is my
You're
opinion,
right.
my
I forgot
thought.
the other Jane Doe. Yep, was.
Because I'm seeing a pattern.
Mm.
And this is just my opinion, what I think. There's no proof to this, but I'm looking at the pathology yet again. The way that you were reading the accusations, it made me feel like, is she like on the spectrum as well? Because it's just not adding up. So then it started making me think my wheels are turning, right? My intuition is like, my discernment is on a high. And I'm like, is he writing out a script for them? Like, because even to a certain degree, I don't know no woman that would say, even making this type of accusation. Now, when you're lying, there's some things that's going to be off. However, it just did not have any consistency. But when you did start talking about like the subs and the doms and all of that, I'm like, okay, you giving us something to consider, because it really didn't make no sense for her to say she felt afraid, she was uncomfortable, she didn't like the first, just from the very first interaction, he offended her, she didn't like it, but yet you walked your ass into his space. He didn't greet you, no nothing, and you just went and laid the fuck down. It didn't make sense. And I said, this sounds like a male's perspective of them trying to put something together that's just not adding up. So now I'm even looking at Busby like, are you involved in engaging with these women and you're living out your sick fantasy with them?
Because remember, he has allegations and lawsuits against him by women for sexual coercion, physical abuse and battery as well, and giving women STDs and all. Tony Busby got the same lawsuits and allegations against him, ironically.
Like, it's just like, I'm like, look how my discernment is picking up on the inconsistencies, how ludicrous the stories, like they're not making sense. It does feel like it's coming from a male's perspective, like some sick fantasy. And as you said, he has had his own charges brought up against him, lawsuits or whatever the case may be. And it's like, is this really your story, sir? And your findings, like, are these women that you possibly... Now, let's go with the first one against Jay-Z. He may not have necessarily been involved with her in a physical way, but I do believe there was a line crossed to some degree. Maybe he was playing with her mind, making like it, because it feels like this man is desperate to get a big payday.
And it's given racism, the way that he just keeps now consistently targeting particularly high-profile wealthy black men.
Check this out. I said the same thing, not for him, but in general. I said because white Europeans do, Hispanics, they do not like black people. It doesn't matter if you're black, African descent, Hispanic background, they don't care. And when it comes to that melon thing, they don't, because they identify as Caucasian.
Correct.
This is before I even knew what her, name was, and they told me in the chat. I just felt a Karen spirit. Now I'm gonna pull at Shannon real quick.
Please do.
I feel like this man definitely was sexually involved with her. I don't believe that there was actually a force. I believe it was consenting. But I also believe that, how you have some men that are older and they not really caught, they try to keep up with the times, try to dress like they, hit this, that, there, but they're not all the way there, you know what I'm saying? And so, but they can still mix in, I do believe that there was somewhere in his brain, he literally didn't think with the brain up top, he was only thinking with his penis. And he thought, because not only the fact that she was young, he thought because of his financial status that he could get away with playing around with this person. You're absolutely right. There should have been an NDA. There's no reason.
He tried, but she was persistent on not signing it, and his dumb ass.
He had already engaged with her. He had already engaged with her sexually, in my opinion. And he should have never did that. But because he was so hell bent on still I don't think he wants to be an older man. I just don't. I think he struggles with actually aging in a sense of like, okay, I don't care about the age gap, but just the fact of not wanting to be like old and decrepit. He still wants to be the man. He actually had just did. I seen a video of him, a clip where he was talking about. I forgot who he was interviewing. Where he was saying he liked young girls. He liked young girls. Like that's his thing. And I'm like, it's nothing wrong with liking young girls. I do think that should not be your main focus. It's all right to have a balance.
I know that ain't Tracy something just spoke about how she liked younger guys, like the actress. It was
Tracy Ellis Ross,
some girlfriend. Yeah, she just spoke and said that she likes dating younger men. I'm just like, yeah.
It's nothing wrong with that. I just think that you should have a balance, because what you do is, believe it or not, you're setting yourself up to a large degree. It's like you're running from settling down, and it's okay too if you don't want to settle. Nobody says that you have to be in a traditional committed relationship. You don't have to be. But what you're doing though is inadvertently creating a reputation for yourself. People talk, even just they don't have to know what's going on completely in your personal life, but just seeing you out and about with a certain type, you then create this conversation, and now you're targeted. You're targeted. And I think he put himself in a position to be targeted. And for whatever reason, I personally think it's because he was pussy whipped. I really believe he was pussy whipped. He lost his damn mind and didn't stick to the plan, which was make her sign this NDA and we're going to keep this. I don't think it ever was supposed to be a relationship. I think it was just a committed relationship. I think it was just supposed to be a sexual relationship, whether it was transactional with payment or not. Yeah, I don't think.
And here's the thing though, I can even give her this. It probably was an exclusive, like they probably were exclusive, not per se together romantically, but like, I'm only fucking with you in this way. I'm only hooking up with you. I'm only dealing with you on this tip, so it might be some truth to the fact that he might have, seemingly agreed to some exclusivity with her, not per se romantic, but just, exclusivity as in exclusivity. Sometimes people will agree to have like a fuck buddy, like, you my only fuck buddy. I ain't gonna be out there in the streets. I'm only fucking with you sexually. You only fucking with me sexually. We ain't together, but we only dealing with each other on that level.
I think it was definitely sex talk between the two of them. And what I call sex talk is when people make all type of promises before they get that nut and during that climax. I don't think that it was ever anything like that for him.
But let me tell you something. If he was pussy whipped, I can believe he was telling her whatever, he felt maybe she wanted to hear, or even maybe, she. Yeah, I can believe that. Yeah, I can believe he was falling for the banana peel and the tailpipe situation.
But I don't believe that it was ever anything more than sex for her in a bag. I believe this woman had an agenda.
Absolutely.
To get the bag. And I think he played himself. Moving forward, I can't wait. It's going to be very interesting and see how this all plays out. I hope he definitely pulls a Jay-Z, because I'm tired of Busby. Yeah, I really am. Like, I don't know what his nationality is, but if he's of the Hispanic descent, Ice go get his ass too. Like these, like y'all snatching up the wrong people. Y'all taking innocent, good, hardworking people. They saying putting their ass down there in Venezuela. What is it? Wherever they put them at, y'all.
Yeah,
I ain't trying to make light of that. But that's what they need. That's what they need to do. Like, y'all taking the wrong ones. Do your research.
I was that's Tony also does this because he knows, because a issue that came up in the lawsuit with Jay-Z is Jay-Z wanted to get Busby for literally just even like having the audacity to bring this unvetted claim against him. But then in the state of New York, they had laws on the books that pretty much, established that an attorney can bring these type of claims against any person because these claims are like a matter of public opinion. I mean, a public safety, and they can't be held, I guess, civilly accountable because anytime a person is accused of sex, at least in the state of New York, of grape in the state of New York, that it is considered a matter of public safety. So then that kind of like complicated the lawsuit. But because there was other like fuckery that Tony Busby did, they will still have to have other parts of the lawsuit, greenlit through for due processing. But I I'm frustrated with that particular law because I feel like yes, grape and somebody being, actually abusive is a matter of public safety. But here's my thing with that. If that is such the case, why do y'all even allow people who commit these acts to only be civilly held accountable to begin with? It should be automatic that only criminal charges and cases can come against these type of persons if there's such a matter of public safety. Because what the fuck about a civil suit is going to stop a perpetrator? But yet y'all have risen the alarm and the threat around people accused of this. And then secondly, I don't give a damn if they are accused of raping someone. I still feel like attorneys should have a ethical responsibility to present situations that that seem reasonable enough to be filtered through, because I don't understand how some autistic disabled woman is just able to say I've been raped by so and so and then be represented as a Jane Doe and then have her case tried and heard. And the whole situation was preposterous from the very fucking beginning. But simply because there's laws on the book, it allows for people to be preposterous. It allows for people to not even have to even have a believable situation at all. They can literally just narrate the most unbelievable set of circumstances and it has to be heard. And then who is that at the expense at? The person who's eventually going to be vindicated? The defendant is now becomes the fucking plaintiff. I don't say how that's not fair to the defendant. It's not fair because it's not always true. And attorneys shouldn't just be able to just throw shit up against the fucking wall. It's weird.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone that has been falsely accused, even once they are vindicated, really truly be 100% vindicated. The accusation, it's like once the accusation is put out there, there's forever a stigma attached to your name, and people always have a side eye for you. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't think that shit is fair when it comes to false allegations. And another thing I don't think that is fair, I don't think that a person should be able to sue. Now, we do know there are exceptions to the rules. And those exceptions should be noted, carefully considered out how it's worded. But I don't think in general that anyone should be able to sue civilly for a person when it comes to sexual assault without there have been criminal charges pressed. That just should not be. For me, that's going to always look like you're a liar and it's a money grab. Like I said, there are exceptions to the rules, but those are like the minority. I don't want to hear that it happened while we was like with this situation. I just don't want to hear it because it doesn't feel true. And I'm not going to let no one make me trauma bond with them. You're not going to weaponize my trauma, because that's what a lot of them do. They don't have to know you personally, but they weaponize others' trauma in order to get the support of the public. It's like, and I just feel like it's just so manipulative. And I also think it's an abuse to other victims for to have our trauma weaponized against us in a way for them to get a payday. I wish we could sue. I promise you, I wish we could sue little what y'all call Miss Little anonymity. Her, you know, I wish somebody from the public can sue her. I wish we knew her information so that we could literally sue her ass. Because now you have traumatized me by bringing up, but not me personally, but someone, because someone was affected by that outside of just the accused.
Yeah. Crystal says, well, I guess the courts feel the loss of credibility and loss of the suit is punishment enough for but it's not, because it's like, what about the defendant who's really innocent? Because it don't matter how much they punish the lawyer, like Rumors and T said, the damage has already been done though. And there are some people whose careers were never able to be recovered. Their reputations were never able to be recovered. I remember I did a Dark Side of the Me Too movement live stream like 3 years ago, and we really was reading cases about even like college athletes and a popular young man on campus who was riding on a scholarship and all, who had been falsely accused of rape, and some of these young men in these cases took their lives before they could even be vindicated, because they had already started suffering just socially and reputationally. And then, the schools started falling back, the scholarships started falling back. And there were all these things, because despite America saying innocent until proven guilty, they start penalizing you before due processing. So you get punished just even at the onslaught of the allegation itself. Look at how Jay-Z claiming in his lawsuit, he lost $20 million. Just because the claim, it hadn't even been concluded that he was at fault or guilty at all. So, it's like the courts are going to have to, they need to get ahead of this, especially in this era where people literally just don't give a damn. People will make themselves a great victim. People will cosplay. Like, look at Sharkeisha Sharpton girl. She was willing to say that that King of R&B turned her pussy green and all.
Mm-hmm.
And all. And I mean, like, the way that people are willing to humiliate themselves just for 15 minutes, just to be in the history books, the way that people are willing to just troll for the sake of attention at any cost. They don't care how embarrassing they make themselves or the other person. Is wild. And it's going to continue to be wild until the courts rev up the consequences and repercussions. As long as there ain't no boundaries, as long as there ain't no consequences and repercussions, why should people have to change their behavior? Signal 66, I've never seen you here before. So hold on. Let me bring up Signal 66 real quick. Hold on. Now I ain't bring you up, Signal. I got a feeling Signal was a troll, man. I got a feeling Signal was a troll, honey. I got a feeling. He calmed down and everything, but I just got a feeling. I just got a feeling. Something in my intuition given. But so right now you are landing too on the fact that it's leaning to not being an honest situation.
It is. I hope that I hope he doesn't lose any deals. But I do hope.
And this question though, why you think he ain't show his responses? Why you think he only highlighted her responses and not his?
Because I think he's I definitely think he's super, super freaky. And I do think that especially after the whole Michelle, like, you can tell he's closeted with it. And I don't think it has nothing to do with him because he's a celebrity, even though he's not an athlete anymore. I don't think it has anything to do with his job. I really do think that he's just a closeted ass freak. I think it has everything to do with his upbringing.
And he want to remain in the closet.
I think he, I definitely think he don't have a
fit his
problem with
brand at all. It don't fit his brand.
Yeah, but even beyond the brand, just him as a person, I believe that if he's the kind of tame, dirty old uncle. You know what I'm saying? That says enough, but don't go too far. I think that's him. But I don't want him to really lose out on anything major with his deals. But I can tell you, I want him to take this serious. Like, even once, with the vindication, I'm believing and I'm speaking into existence for him. With the vindication, him proving, himself to be not guilty. I want him to take this serious and do better. Like, if you want to be, because I think he's already been married in the past, if I'm not mistaken. I know he has children or whatever. If that's not the life you want to live anymore, that is fine. If you want to have paid services to keep things from being more complex in your life, there's nothing wrong with that either. You can literally have that with, like you were saying earlier, with one person. You don't need, but if you want multiple partners, that's fine too. You need to put shit in writing and have a fucking contract. Like, if you really want to, if you've been inspired by 50 Shades of Grey, then do it the right way then, bruh. There's a right way and a wrong way to do everything. And clearly, that particular piece of pussy, it did something to you because you stopped it. Like, clearly he must have had other people signing NDAs. But that particular piece of pussy, that shit must have been the best he had ever in his life. Because he just threw all this, he just threw out the most important thing for his own protection out the window. He didn't care.
Niggas are weak, man. Niggas are so weak. Like, why would you let that slide? My other question to you is, what do you think about the mention of another ongoing lawsuit against him by a woman claiming assault as well?
I want to see the details behind it. I don't have no opinion until I see some information behind it. I need to see information because, for all I know, she could be a client of Busby. And I don't know. I can't take none of these accusations to anybody that he's represented. I'm never going to take serious. I'm sorry to anybody that's a true victim, but I'm never going to take serious as long as he's representing them. But until you bring us the proof and read the details, I ain't believing it. I'm just not.
Yeah. My God.
Guilty by association. I'm going on mute, so I can't see who I'm name the band is.
Dazzle. Hey, Dazzle.
Hey. How y'all doing?
We are awesome sauce. What are your thoughts?
So, I ain't gonna lie. I want to see the unedited sex tape.
You know what? I got a feeling this gonna end up in the circuit. I do.
I want to see the whole thing. I want to see the whole text. I want to see the whole X tape. I feel like they're not telling us everything.
Right.
We need to see everything. I want to see Shannon Sharpe legs in the sky, getting the rim job. I want to see all of it since we here.
All back on that. I couldn't deal. I can't deal with Shannon Sharpe in no type of sexual, no type of visual. I can't deal with a Shannon Sharpe sexual visual. Child.
Oh, and then I want to know how long it is, because I feel like if he got the saltines acting like this, talking about big black babies.
She describing most of the encounters as ranging anywhere between 2 to 10 minutes.
It must have been a lot of fun for 2 to 10 minutes. I mean, I don't know.
Might have felt like, yeah, them 2 minutes probably felt like 2 hours, like, for real.
Or them 2 to 10
He must have tore her every which way but loose.
Look, I don't even think all. I mean, well, we have heard how Michelle was sounding, so I mean, it must be Pleasure Island, but at the same time, we got to remember, it's allegedly transactional too. $25,000 a cheek, so baby, she in love with the cocoa. Or she
Well,
in
I'm
love
not
with
gonna
the
lie
dodo.
though.
In love with the dodo, honey.
I'm not gonna lie though. I'm not ever gonna hate on somebody getting some bread. I mean, and if you're gonna have these encounters and it's 25 per cheek, I mean, I can't hate on it. I can only be like, girl, you feel some type of way. Now you want a lawsuit? No.
Look, she kept highlighting, oh, you cheated, you cheated, you cheated, you cheated. She don't seem to be bothered by nothing else. I'm like, girl, how you trying to paint this man as a monster? And the only thing that you really have an emotional reaction to is you allegedly being cheated on. Make it make sense.
Basically.
Make
So
it make
I don't take this lawsuit seriously. I just don't.
What do you think? I had asked Rumor, what do you think about the alleged there's apparently another lawsuit against him by a woman claiming sexual assault. So what do you think about?
Well, I concur with rumors. I don't know anything about it, so I can't say if it's true or false. Yeah. But what I can't say with this one, I'm like, girl, the things that you said that he forced you to do, it sounds like he was willing to do, girl.
It didn't make no damn sense.
Let me
It
ask
sounds
you a
like not only
question.
was you willing, you was able, and you was excited to do so.
Would you assume that by his features alone, right? He's a thick brolic, like, plantation worker type of, man.
Lord, he
Would you
Django,
that would you
Unchained.
would you assume that he was hung?
I mean, Miss Netta might be hung. You never know.
Okay. My next question is, do you guys think that if he's hung, that she's claiming he rummaged that anal? Y'all don't think that she didn't require reconstructive surgery?
Well, I'm gonna ask you this though. Being as though we seen those text messages and we know how those girls get down, could she not have asked him to ravage her anal cavity?
That's what we're saying. It could have easily been a sub situation where they all just like the whole thing could have been arranged. And that whole thing about her pulling up in a car, he didn't speak to her, all that is given classic Dom sub scenario. Like, so I mean, it's possible that a lot of the encounters that she spoke about could have been, planned,
Consensual,
meditated, consensual, non-consensual acts. Yeah, because that is a thing. That is actually a thing. And even Shannon Sharpe's lawyer alluded to that when he said that these were role-playing, actual fantasy dynamics that she's misrepresenting, such as the edited sex tape that she's carved out intentionally to make it look like something that's happening in that exchange that's actually not happening. That also is a consensual act, and she refuses to give over the non-edited version.
yeah, because he's like the subscriber Black Panther said. Basically, Shannon Sharpe was talking about he don't last long, but he worth it. Is it that he's doing these role playing things to, make up for his lack of stamina in a way? Because a lot of
I
times,
can see that.
dudes do that too.
I could see that foreplay to extend, the performance until there is like a lot of people do that. And that actually makes it great. That's what makes it better. I don't want nobody on top of me for no damn 30 minutes humping and pumping and having me bent over. And you just know, yeah, give me some role play. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because at this point, I kind of feel like we're like criminalizing. I don't know. I just kind of feel like we're criminalizing him from having a sex. Not we are, but they are. Like Tony Bugsby
Of course,
of having a
that's his
sexual
job.
kink.
So that's his job. His job is to figure out how to make his client story work. So it's not about the truth. It's about whatever the client, is alleging and what opportunities there are within what's being alleged to make it look like it's in alignment with the allegation. And this is the perfect alley-oop, because if it is a transactional dom submissive dynamic, then it's very easy to misrepresent this 2-year hookup situation as a toxic relationship that was riddled in abuse and sexual battery.
But she's gonna have to answer for those text messages though, because those text messages don't sound like it was just.
I know she shook us right now. Because not only did they drop her wanting to eat his asshole, they dropped her first and last name with it, baby. Okay, they put an address on Miss Rim Jobber girl, and I am just screaming because they probably were not anticipating Shannon Sharpe to respond this way. Tony Busby and her probably banked on, yeah, he too much of a square. He ain't gonna really fight back. He gonna probably, put out a statement saying this is not true, and then we'll be able to get to a pre-mediation and we'll work out a settlement from there, and everything will be fine. They was probably not expecting that man to drop that goddamn text thread and to show her in all her glory. She wants dollars and all.
They probably thought, oh, he's going to crack under the pressure immediately because of the deal he just signed. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't going to fight back whatsoever. Right. But it is my recommendation for anybody that is being accused of anything, and the lawyer that is representing the accuser is Tony Busby. Y'all better do the same exact thing. Anytime y'all see his name on any documentation representing anybody that's suing, y'all better do the same. Call they motherfucking bluff.
Go ahead and sue, child.
See, I don't understand. If we live in the age of exposure, why y'all think that exposure is not exposure? You know what I'm saying? Like, people just think, oh, it's just fake victims coming. No, it's everybody exposing everybody.
Yeah. It's the perpetrators of power. It's the poor being predators. The pendulum is keeping that
swinging both ways.
Yeah, it's keeping that same image for all. Yeah, for the world. It ain't exposing a particular sector. It's exposing everything and everybody. So, but evildoers have no respect to the law, naturally or the metaphysical laws. They don't give a damn. They are completely just consumed and intoxicated with greed and with exploitation and with their foolishness. They would go up against God itself. Hell, these are how delusional wicked people are. And Tony Busby.
So Tony Busby is an evildoer.
He is absolutely like the part of the legal, the part of the judicial system that is just deplorable. He's everything that we can't stand about the law and those in the law. He's no different than a Ku Klux Klansman hiding behind a badge. He's no different than the police, the police who participate in the brutality and racial discrimination of it all. He's no different than the racist judges, all these terrible people who occupy important roles in our community, who are sitting there filled with all type of immorality. He's the lawyer that make other lawyers look bad. He's everything that people say about attorneys: soulless, spineless, vindictive, shisty, shady, conniving, etc. Which, as an attorney, you gotta have some of those qualities. You got to be clever, you got to be cunning, but you don't per se have to be evil, and you don't have to be immoral. Tony Busby seems to be in possession of all those qualities and then some.
But the worst part about it is, the sad part is that no matter after accusation like that come out, it does not matter how many times you debunk it. It's like certain people just want to believe it.
And that's why me and Rumors were having a whole conversation around how fucked up this is, that these things are allowed to happen to people, even if they end up vindicated, because they've already been tainted and soiled in the court of public opinion. And sometimes they've also been soiled in their professional careers. So, something they need to put protection and mechanisms in place. I I feel like, honestly, this might be the perfect way. If the courts are going to say, look, this is a matter of public safety. If somebody, is accused of such a thing, okay, fine, I can get with that. The next thing that should happen then is that within the law, there should be, I feel like there should be pre-litigating that happens outside of the court. I mean, that happens outside of the public. Like, the court should, like, what if in another world, the Jane Doe versus Jay-Z case by law would have had to happen privately first in order for it to be well vetted. If a case is well vetted and there seems to be merit to the claim, then I can see it transitioning into being available to the public. However, the courts could seriously have mechanisms in place that allow private litigating of a matter, but because they're now recognizing that there's massive damage that can be done to the defendant, especially if the defendant is innocent, that we can't just allow all this shit to continue to go through publicly because it ruined people before we even get to due process and get to justice. So we can still give the accuser, the right to accuse while also protecting the defendant who is innocent until proven guilty. And we can pre-mitigate like we're already doing. Everything can happen as it's happened. It's just kept from the public until the judge says, all right, there seems to be merit to this claim. Therefore, once again, the case can transition into being made, available to the public. If not, these things can be mitigated privately. And then there can be no harm brought to the accused if they, in fact, are innocent.
But we know that, again, one of these things will never be, because our legal system is very prejudiced, always has been. And the court of public opinion is just as important for that factor as well. We know the history behind it, and we see for them to change the laws will literally imprison their own. They're not going to do that. That's the thing that really is so fucked up in its entirety. Like, because nothing really in a lot of things. I know some things have changed. Well, let me say lax. The way things are, it's not as fuck you in your face, even though it's still fuck you in your face. You know what I'm saying? We've made not even a full handful of change in this country, but enough to appease us. But there's no difference. It's nothing really has systematically changed. And I don't think that it really is ever going to change systematically. You know what I mean? We may get a little bit extra crumbs here and there, but it's not going to change. So in us knowing that, right, I know that there's some provision that we can put into place to prevent, provisions to prevent. However, like, we can't do stupid shit like Shannon is doing. Like, I'm not one of those people that's super pro-black. I say to each his own, whatever works for any human being, that's what you do. You live it and you love it. But you got to also be aware when it comes to you dating outside of your race. What comes with that? You have to, and I think a lot of people be so, colorblind per se. I don't see that we're all one, this and the third. It's okay for you to feel that way. But don't feel that way to the point, to the risk of offering yourself up to be fucking locked up, falsely accused, or even unalived.
I agree with you. And I also feel like, though, that there is a thing, right, that it's a civil case. A civil case is way different than a criminal case. And I do know that before we started really focusing in on civil cases, you know how many people had a civil case against a celebrity? Like, there were thousands of people
Look
every
at all
year
of this
having
a Trey Songz. Look at all the accusations against him. He's still a Roman.
Yeah, like it's crazy that it's like honestly thousands of civil cases towards celebrities. I mean, A-list actors and everything like else like that. It ranges from the bizarre to the almost I can understand. You see what I'm saying? So I think that we're going through a thing of now we're focusing on these civil cases that may or may not make sense. But I kind of feel like because it's civil, it's more handled publicly in a way because that's what that is, right? Civil cases are more like public. And I feel like we as the public are taking it and running with it and making it seem like it's a criminal case and then stacking on more to it than what it is.
I mean, the public always is going to do the public, but the real people who need to move the fucking needle is the criminal justice system itself. They could be doing more to,
Right.
make sense of shit and to consider the fact that there are going to be people that are falsely accused and their lives are going to be destroyed. Because the thing about it is that you innocent, quote unquote, until proven guilty in the court of law. But you not innocent until proven guilty unto a corporation you work with or a brand you are a spokesperson for or to private entities
Yes.
market through you.
Mm-hmm.
So those systems, can start to pull out and let you go accordingly because they don't want the rollover. They don't want the
Yeah, you know what? I feel like as soon as you file a complaint or a civil case or any type of case, everything should be shut down. And I feel like maybe, like you said, laws should be in place. I feel like you can't just go to the media and slander anybody or, say anything until things is happening. You see what I'm saying? Like some type of way, I feel like there should be a muzzle in a sense.
I'm telling y'all. And sorry, y'all, this kind of a mukbang. A lot of y'all, this would all dissipate. We would probably literally see the extinction of false claims against people if the law, since they consider these claims to be so heinous that they have to be made public and they have to come forward and the courts have to greenlight them no matter how preposterous they may seem or how preposterous the plaintiff may be, because it's a matter of public safety. Okay, great. If that's the case, make it a criminal case. Make it so that you can't even sue. A person accused of something like that can only be tried criminally. Since it's such a matter of public safety, because suing somebody civilly doesn't make them a non-threat. How many more people were R. Kelly able to go forth and hurt? How many people are Trey Songz out there are doing the most to allegedly? Chris Brown allegedly. All these men who done been sued and accused and are able to continue on in their fame and except because a civil suit don't stop nobody from harming no fucking body. Prison barely even stops it. And I feel like a lot of people, if they were forced to only try somebody who is being accused, who they're accusing of raping them, it will stop the false accusers, because the false accusers know, oh my God, there's going to be a real investigation put toward my claims. And if there is no findings here, especially if the law also includes the fact that if you are found to file falsely against someone, which criminally, like if you file a false police report, you can be penalized. That's a federal crime. Like they can actually penalize you in criminal suits for lying falsely on people. If they rev up the consequences there, and they said you can only file criminally against someone you're accusing of rape, it keeps all the people who are suing civilly and lying from even having a chance, because no money is going to come out of a criminal case. Actual justice is going to be had. And if there are consequences and repercussions, then the liars and the grifters and the 15-minute folk are only going to be, that they're going to fall away. Because once again, there's nothing to gain. For one, I'm not going to gain no money because I can only file criminally against this person. And for two, if I file criminally and it's found that I'm lying, my ass could be the one doing a 10 to 15. My ass could be the one doing a year in prison. I can ruin my life, ruin my criminal, history, my background, etc. Lose my job, lose my house, and lose my every goddamn thing because I'm locked up in jail. That would shave off all of the bullshitters and only leave room for those who genuinely have been abused. If the criminal justice really cares about victims, we know they don't. All this shit is capitalistic and about patriarchy and control. But if they actually cared about victims, they would be invested in really creating the system and setting the system up in a way that helps to discourage liars, manipulators, hold attorneys, and their stupid ass plaintiffs and clients accountable. But that's all they got to do. Mm-hmm. If you do not give people boundaries and repercussions, it's going to be anarchy. It's going to be the Wild Wild West. The criminal justice system isn't given any pause. Therefore, people who want to weaponize the system and take advantage of it are going to continue. People aren't going to wake up moral and just be like, it's just the wrong thing to do to lie on somebody. No, if bitches want to lie, if people want to clout chase and they can do that without consequence, they're going to do their foolishness. They're going to troll accordingly. It's only a very small margin of folk who are going to wake up and smell the coffee and come under conviction. But most of the people that want to troll and be on bad behavior and who are manipulators and fraudsters, they're going to roll the dice if they can roll the dice. And rolling the dice becomes much more attractive when there ain't going to be no consequences to me playing on these motherfuckers' head tops. Ain't going to be no consequences to me playing on Jay-Z head top. Ain't no consequences to me playing on Beyonce head top. Ain't no consequences to me playing on Kamala's head top. I can go do my foolishness, and I might even, if anything, bitch, I could be a liar, a grifter, a fraudster. I may actually win something here. I may get a payout. How many liars have been paid out of court? Plenty of them. How many public figures have settled with motherfuckers? Not because there was truth in the situation, but because the bad publicity alone was going to fuck up their current shit. So they settled with motherfuckers, to go along to get along. How many people have successfully fallen prey to being strong-armed?
Yeah, I was just about to say, and that's exactly what it is. It's a shakedown in the storm. Or like, there has to be no truth. Like, just look at the situation. Mm-hmm. And it's not just about, I don't want to keep harping on the race thing, but it is the reality. It's like, the ball is in our corner. The ball is in our corner. So they think, but you have to, I'm glad Shannon is doing it. So far, that's what we see. I pray that he stays on the neck. I hope that he doesn't be so intimidated and afraid because of an image either. Look, at the end of the day, I understand for his career as far as that is concerned. I understand he doesn't fit the image of that. But again, that's his private life. I'm pretty sure the people that he works for, okay, the people that own these networks and things do that and more. Look at what happened with Epstein and all of them, all of those people that can't, like, they do the same thing, if not more. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't want him to feel like I can't have this exposed. If this is what you and her were into, and this is your choice for your preference when it comes to your sexual kinks and things of that nature, he's entitled to that. But just be smart about it. Be smart about it. If you know what I mean, like, it was just never no reason, in my opinion. It was never no reason for him not to make her. Now, he couldn't have made her, but to move forward and continue to interact and engage with her in that way without having her fucking signature.
Yep, because it's always another one. Like, if she ain't willing to sign the NDA in order for you to have some discretion, then find you another one. She isn't the only attractive woman that's going to want to lay it low and spread it wide for you, or hell, have you lay it low, Shannon Sharpe, and spread it wide, and you have it, and you spread it wide. My next question going to be to that though is like, how do y'all feel about this train of thought from a lot of well, not from a lot, but some public figures have said, girl, when you a public figure, you can't have no secrets. You like it comes with the territory. Like you gotta spray your own tea, and you pretty much have to, like, so to speak, be transparent, because you don't get to have privacy as a private figure. And when you try to do so, that's what allows other people in your private life to be able to weaponize your private life against you. So if you're gonna come into the space, you might as well just be a tell-all.
You know, I don't.
I feel like it's tragic. I like it better in old Hollywood when you didn't.
I was just about to say that. I love the mystery of old Hollywood. I love the, like, because I mean, we learned years later when biopics and things of that nature came out, you know what I mean, biographies, to let us know some of the dirt in the tea. But I prefer that. Like, you know, because listen, the public, it's so weird how people don't really have a stable, substantive thought when it comes to quote unquote celebrities. 1 minute is too fucking much. We don't want to know everything. Take us out the fucking group chat. The next minute, you ain't entitled to no privacy. You a public figure. Everything, your life is up for grabs. Make up your motherfucking minds. At the end of the day,
see, me personally, I feel like this. I feel like in some way, I feel like people see, say for instance, an actor. You see them acting in the movie and you see them doing all these things. It's almost like you want to put some dirt on their name. So you're looking for their private life to basically be like, yeah, see, he ain't what everybody think he is. And it's almost like, well, why can't we just go to a movie, enjoy the actor, and go about our business?
I don't think it's I'm going to tell you, I don't think that it is the public that wants to put dirt on any of these people's names. I don't. What I think, though, is that the public is bipolar as hell. Don't know what they want today versus what they're going to want tomorrow when it comes to other people. Celebrities are nothing but human beings that are in the damn spotlight.
They're doing a job.
However,
the job is to entertain you.
But my private life is not about your entertainment. My private life is my private life. And the irony of that is we as the viewers, spectators, fans, and quote unquote supporters, right? We don't want all of our business to fuck out there. We want a certain amount of privacy when it comes to our personal lives. So why can we not offer the same to another human being?
Here's the issue, though. It's not the public that's really the issue. The issue is the public figures actually do have private lives, but the people that they're sharing their private lives with end up doing things out of being retaliatory with that public figure, and then want to come for their public reputation. And because now social media exists, and you know, there's no longer a standard for fame, people can go viral for just being an op, or just being a disgruntled employee, or just being a disgruntled ex, because now everybody can sound off through social media. Public figures are not able to have public lives, depending on how the people in their private lives end up feeling about them. And if you end up pissing somebody off, or somebody, you know, ain't getting their way with you, or whatever the situation is, they get to go get their 15 minutes off your head top. So
and it's not to be pissed off with you, Conscious.
It's not even the public figures themselves, pretty much, who like want it to be this way. It's just that, like, it's not even public figures are not even really being allowed to have a private life because other people want to fucking griff who you are friends with, or who you're married to, or your kids. Hell, you know, they can't be going through family shit with you without wanting to, once again, you know, turn to the internet. Time to expose. Look how Carrie Ann Franklin did Kurt Franklin. You know, like, we have seen this in so many different walks, you know, from The ex is doing it. The kids doing it. Look how I just did a story last month on Linda Hoke. You know, she brought her family drama to social media. And now, you know, Hulk Hogan and their daughter, you know, all the name dropping. So it's kind of like, it's not the public figures per se. It's like the motherfuckers in the personal lives, as the family, the friends, the lovers, the children, etc., are, you know, forcing public figures to pretty much have their private lives exploited. And because we can't control other people, you know, to some public figures' point, you either can embrace that and take, I guess, the bullet out of the chamber by just getting ahead of shit, by just living your life openly already so that nobody can spray you with your tea. Or you can just wait on somebody else to do it, but it seems inevitable that it's going to be done.
But no matter how you even when they are transparent, sometimes that still backfires, right? Because then you have...
It's no perfect way, you know. But I guess it's about choosing like the lesser of the two evils. You know, it's nothing that's going to, you know, fully resolve the issue, but it's just about like, I mean, you know, which one seemingly yields better results, living transparently. And so that, you know, you always got first dibs and home base on the truth and the narrative or whatever, or, you know, try to have a private life and then risk other people in your private life, you know, jumping up in front of social media and either telling lies or half truths or truths that, you know, could technically stay behind closed doors that are not. And now you happen to get, you know, ahead of that shit.
Yeah, I mean, people are doing it even when it's not coming.
CTV. My bad. I'm sorry, but I want to thank you, CTV, and thank you, Rumors. I'm about to drop down.
Okay,
thank y'all so much.
Coming up, love.
All right. Good morning. Good night. I was saying that the interesting thing is it don't even have to be an accusation or drama. People like, tell me, when's the last time you found out a celebrity had hooked up with someone after they, you know, split up, and like we were like, oh my God, I didn't even know they was together. I didn't know this, I didn't know that, or whatever the case may be. People are so consumed, like you said, like the riding of the coattail, like just want to be. And I really don't care for that. It's something different if you're in partnership, or in relationship, not necessarily romantically, but in relationship to someone that is of a celebrity status or have a following, and they want to put you out there. That's one thing, you know what I'm saying? And you know, the public discovers you blow up, you know, whatever. But I feel like just like wanting to ride the coattail of someone else's success for your own gain is really lazy as fuck to me. It's really lazy as fuck to me. You know what I mean? Like the space and the opportunities are there for you, for everyone to work, put in the work, and you know what I mean, build up their own image, whatever career, whatever it is their goal and objectives are.
Yeah.
And I just wish we could. I know we can't. It's like there's no going back. But I do think that we as a society need to tone it the fuck down and allow people a level of privacy. You know what I mean? That we require for ourselves on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
None of us as human beings, quote unquote non-celebrities, none of us expose our whole 100% of our lives on a daily basis to anyone, not even the fucking people that live with us.
I think that the rise of social media and the level of buffoonery that people are willing to do for a click in the view have really shown us how much of a desire that the collective have wanted to be seen. I think before the rise of social media, we just thought that like, oh, the people who want to be public figures, you know, they represent like, you know, just a certain sector of the population. And then the rise of social media showed us, oh my God, bitch, like a lot of motherfuckers need to be seen. And a lot of motherfuckers want to be seen for one reason or another. And so now that that's happening, you have people taking their shot to be seen by any means necessary, including like, oh, bitch, like I'm low key fucking with, somebody who got clout right now. That can get me 15 minutes. I'm low key dating, or, I was in the VIP with a motherfucker who was snorting coke. And it's just like all this shit that, because the fruit of the social media era is rooted in the fact that we have a lot of attention starved people, and we just did not know that this many people were attention starved. We had no idea this many people craved, whatever validation or vindication they believe is in being seen by as many people as possible. We had no idea this many people felt invisible. We had no idea this many people, had a attention deficit, and clearly haven't been getting the nurture that they deserve. Now, it's one thing if you want to be a public figure for a proper reason, for a substantive reason, you have a skill set, or, your career is in public relations or whatever the case may be. But we see that there's people who literally like ain't even doing nothing but just trying to get attention by any means necessary, whether that's exposing the most embarrassing parts of this. Look at what Kanye West is being reduced to. He's a whole celebrity, and he's just fucking spiraling and using social media for every fucking thing, including being his personal fucking journal. And this thing has really become addictive. People are getting all these serotonin and endorphin hits to their fucking brain through clicks and views and going viral and having people speak about them for better or for worse. Don't give a fuck. Look at Alvo and Shamar. It's
Oh
like
my gosh.
that took place with these two motherfuckers was insane. When I saw Alvo drunk as Dakota Brown with a nut stain on the back of his joggers and him saying, yeah, I just got bust down by a nigga last night and he pulled out and skied it, on my back and turned around and showed us the fucking nut stain. And also in the same breath, talking about how Shamar gave him a STD that he can't kill. I'm just like, what? Like, what has happened? Like, it's to the disgusting levels now that people are just like, are y'all really this pressed to have an audience that y'all literally just, y'all don't care what will get you that? Even if it will last for all of a moment, even if whatever you sharing today gonna fizzle out in the tsunami of other stories that are going to come right after it, and we'll be on to the next tomorrow. We have a mental health crisis in this country.
I say this every time we get into the thick of these type of conversations. I say it every single time. I am not a person that believes I am right about everything, but I am right about this. I just feel like the United States has failed us as a whole. I don't understand it. Mental health services shouldn't require like that should be free. Like, I mean, all healthcare should be free, but if nothing else ain't free, mental health services should be free. Because if I'm not mistaken, I'm not talking statistics. I'm just talking about a reality that I feel on a day-to-day basis. Everybody in this motherfucking country has had a mental health emergency. We've all cracked at one point or another under the pressure and the guise of just fucking being citizens of this country. It is such a disservice to be a taxpayer and not be able to receive I told you it really should be conscious. Like, people who get annual checkups, I feel like shit, and while that man is in office, shit, I feel like damn near every 2 weeks, every to 30 days, there should be a mandatory mental health check-in. It really should. People are doing the most heinous and ridiculous shit, is not profiting them anything financially, and no finances should not be the only reason to do what they're doing. But I mean, I don't even see the point if you ain't gaining anything from it financially. You still, you know what I'm saying? These people, some of them, not all, half of them are homeless. Those that are not homeless are in jeopardy of losing something of value to them. They're estranged from their family, not because the family abandoned them, but they literally pushed the family away and isolated themselves for social media, for the thirst of having strangers watching them and making an ass out of themselves. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I used to like to watch the train wrecks. I can't watch it no more. If it's like, if it's nothing,
because it's oversaturated.
Yeah, I cannot indulge in it whatsoever. Not only do I take breaks from social media, I even take breaks with my TV. Like, I used to leave my TV on and just let the screen, because this is what I started feeling like. The character from Charlie Brown, where everything is like wah 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 wah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the space I was falling myself into because of so much going on, and it made me feel like I was becoming an airhead almost, because none of this shit was rational to me. And I was trying to rationalize the behaviors and I couldn't. And so I started zoning shit out, and it started making me feel like, though, like I was not a character, but just like I was like dying inside or something. That's the only description I get. I was zoned out. So I take breaks from this stuff so that, you know what I'm saying, I can maintain, like, I feel low key like I've been sucked back into the matrix, and I know I'm in the matrix, right? And I'm aware of this, but I can't escape it again. Like, and when I get out the matrix this time, it's no way I'm not going to be close to the, what you call it? The, like the hole, what they call it? The warp hole. Yeah, I'm not going to be anywhere near it. Because I really feel sucked back in to a world full of unstable as human beings. And yeah, the shit don't feel good.
Hold on for 1 minute.
Make sure y'all thumbs up the video.
Yeah, thumbs up. Because we I mean, you know, and I guess the social media craze shouldn't be shocking considering the type of conversations we have on this platform around childhood trauma, socialization, the fact that most people have a lot of deficits in their lives. Most people are unconscious as hell. They're walking around claiming the false self as their authentic self. It actually should be resulting in everything that we're seeing right now. Like, this is the ugly end result of the fact that most people have never really had their needs met, whatever those needs were. And the system that we all been going along to get along in haven't been sufficient. And social media and what it's done to people, what it's aroused in people, what it's showcased about people proves to us that the system is indeed fucked up and it hasn't been working. And social media just gives us a way of seeing like how bad it actually really is. And social media really isn't the problem itself. The problem, you know, goes way back to who we've been. And it goes way back to how we've experienced ourselves, how we've experienced community, the lack thereof. And social media is just an outlet for all of that spiritual emptiness, all of that emotional emptiness, all of that mental emptiness. And the fact that people actually feel closer to strangers than they are to the people they have in their phone index, the fact that people are being more transparent with perfect strangers than they are even the people that they know physically, and that they can contact physically. I mean, if we really look at what's taking place, it's really wild at really what people are communicating in these parasocial ass relationships, like what it implies, like the implications behind this are very deep and are very tragic. And we really aren't doing the work to address the real root because we're making social media the problem instead of like the system and the culture and the way our lives have been set up, which has created all this chaos.
Mm-hmm.
We got work to do, and social media proves it. And that's why we can look at. I just put one of my other good friends on to the Where to Invade Next documentary. I'm going to be watching that shit again tonight because it just, our government has a lot to do with this. Our society has a lot to do with what the fuck is going on. The messaging in our culture, the capitalism of it all, the design of the system has a lot to do with why people are fucking zombies and a shell of themselves. But when I look at all this shit, all I really see is a spiritual deficit. I'm just like, wow, people really are lost at a spiritual level, and a lot of people are emotionally dead. And yeah, social media is made in the image of that deficit.
Yep. I went on Facebook. I hadn't been on Facebook in quite a while. I went on Facebook. I didn't even recognize Facebook. Everything in my news feed, like on my timeline and news feed, everything was shit that I don't even like, follow, subscribe to. Like, it was just, and I'm like, what is this? Why is this in my algorithm? What the hell? Or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna deactivate this, like, cause I don't subscribe to this stuff. I don't want this in my system. Every other video was a fight video. If it wasn't a fight video, it was something about Elon and Trump. And I'm like, I feel hijacked. I feel like y'all trying to like suck me deeper into the vortex of dysfunction, and I don't want to be there. And I made a clear decision. I'm like, I did make a post letting, the family and the friends know, if you want to get in touch with me or whatever, my telephone number has not changed. It's the same number it's been for 16 years. I am deactivating this account.
Absolutely. Pulling the fuck out. I remember when I had made a similar post, last week before last? That's actually why we didn't do tea on top of tea the Monday before last, because I had told her, I was like, y'all, I'm checked out. I said, I'm checked out. I said, I think I'm depressed. I'm just not in the mood. I'm not plugged in right now. I said, I'll see y'all next Monday. Have a great show. They decided, that everybody would just take the break. But, I literally just didn't have nothing to give. And then I had made a post on my community wall and my Instagram. It was like, y'all, like, this shit is really taking me out. All this shit going on with, politically, Zeus network energy every fucking where. Like, I can't take it. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overstimulated. And, my content creating had slowed down immensely. And I was just feeling so frustrated because I don't even feel completely in control of my algorithm because, even if I'm not intentionally looking for the content I don't want to see, maybe somebody I'm following is, or, the algorithm bot still, put shit in rotation. And, and then when it comes to the political shit, there's just no way to unsee that because it's just literally the world. Like, and I'm not really mad at it because that shit should be plastered because we need to be dealing with all of that because because that pertains to our whole real life. But at the same time, it's so bad and it's so consistently bad that if you don't manufacture recesses for yourself, like even the content that's necessary to be informed by can end up overstimulating you and causing a negative reaction in self. And so I would get up and literally only have the energy to like brush my teeth, wash my face, bathe, and then like lay down and put my head under the covers. Like I just couldn't even stand up underneath it all. Like my brain just could not brain, and it could not just take rest, and it couldn't disconnect until I just like gave myself some days to really just fucking unplug and to really reset my own emotional algorithm, reset my own mental algorithm by just tuning out and then re-engaging and then deciding the way I would re-engage. And so now, even as a content creator, right? Like it's almost impossible for me to avoid certain content because I outsource for content by way of using the internet. So I'm forced to see kind of like everything. But now what I do is if I'm deciding like I'm only going to pay attention to political shit when I want to, even if I see political shit in my algorithm, I'll just keep scrolling. I won't even read. I won't even read the description. I'll just keep scrolling. I'll literally just keep my focus on, what genre of content I'm looking for today. If it's pop culture, if it's celebrity, that's where I'm going to be looking. If it's, whatever. And I just literally have to just intentionally control, what I'm literally internalizing and what I'm not internalizing. So I just really encourage people in the season, like, you may have to work a little bit harder to stay kind of like clear of certain content because we're living in an age of social media. You can't control but so much what your algorithm looks like. But, you just have to find systems that you can implement that give you some safeguard and give you a fair shot at not having to intimately engage every post, intimately engage every upload and everything that you see. And you have to really hold yourself accountable to being to do that, because the algorithm isn't going to stop to spare your mental health, and the internet isn't going to stop to spare your mental health. So we then have to kind of like take on the extra burden to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. And if we just need to all out just fucking disconnect and go touch grass. I remember when my best friend came to see me last month, and we had took that random spontaneous ass road trip to Atlanta. I didn't even use my phone. Like, I mean, I had my phone, but that whole like road trip, the whole 2 days, I didn't even look at social media. And it felt so good to just be in the world, but not of it. Like, it felt so good to just exist outside of social media, to just be a regular person parked outside of a gas station, pumping gas, just on the road using my eyeballs, not using my phone camera, and just not having to pull out my phone to capture everything, just literally just using my brain to capture everything, just being in the moment, being present. Like, that shit was rejuvenating for me. I came back.
No, conscious, no, it really is. And I'm laughing because my sons, when we go to their dad house to visit, that's what, like, of course, we watch TV, but for the most part, he's so like old school, like just he ain't into like social media. He's definitely not into the smart TVs, even though he has them or whatever. But he's an outdoors person, and he and I would sit outside and just listen to the radio, or he still has a record player, CD player, and all of that. And he'll pull out CDs, and that's what we do. And I make the kids come out, and we sit out there, and I tell them, I'll be sometime I'm reading a book or whatever, like, because it just takes me back to the simpler times. And I noticed I love music and I love to read. It does help center me. I notice my temperament is not on 10. My anxiety is not on 10. The calm and the peace that I feel, it's like a zen moment, like thing for me, and like real life. Like, I know some people love to exercise, go walking and things of that nature, but it's something like it just helps me release. Those are my release. And my kids be like, "What, y'all dinosaurs?" Because they don't know what to do without the electronics and things. And I find that so heartbreaking, so heartbreaking. And I'm like, when life was so much funner for me is when things were much simpler. And that is just something that I think we all need to get back to, but we need to introduce it to the generations that are after us, because I think a lot of us have, well, I'm not going to claim that for myself, but I think a lot of people just became, like you were saying, super codependent on a thing, but in a real way, that thing crippled everybody. And people just don't know, like they don't have a connection to simplicity, which is actually all we damn it need.
Yep.
This hasn't social media, not even just social media, but just the evolution of electronics and things of that nature has not made things easier for us. We've been bamboozled to, sold on simplicity from these things, but they just made life more complicated, in my opinion.
Yeah. People have to, you got to manufacture it. You got to stay intentionally balanced. You have to. You cannot allow your brain to rationalize the word have to. You instead have to break up the monotony of this shit. There can't be any sense of I can't take rest, I can't disconnect. You got to do that. You just have to do that. And we all really do have the opportunity and space to do that. And it's important to literally go live, because social media is also not a authentic depiction of life. Because to be honest, when I'm not on social media and I'm just like in my life, I don't see none of the shit that's made a reality on social media. I'm dealing with white folk, I'm dealing with the Asians. There ain't no racism in sight. There ain't no Zeus energy in sight. There ain't no homophobia in sight. There ain't no nothing. Like I'm living, it's easy. It feels good. There ain't no problems. I'm just enjoying life. All of this height and intensity is concentrated in the social media space. It's very concentrated. And so that's why it's important to go actually go live and go do very mundane things. To Aruma's point, that's actually the perfect recalibrating practice, is to be here. All this shit is intense. This is an intense space. It's an intense genre, pop culture, all that kind of shit, politics, everything is intense. It's actually important to go actually do what's considered boring shit. Go take a hike. Go sit on the porch and just listen to music and kick the shits with your baby daddy. Kick the shits with your kids. Go fly a fucking kite. Go just fucking walk through the neighborhood. Go put your old school Walkman headphones on. Go sit in the car and just smoke a vibe, a vape and chill. Just go do mundane shit. That shit is actually more energizing than what we could ever imagine. Sometimes you really don't know how much you are exhausting so much of your energy until you are actually just resting. Until you're just resting, like, damn, I feel so much better and cleaner and purer and healthier, just in the space of just relaxing. I don't have to go do nothing extravagant. I ain't got to go cross seas to Belize. Just literally just disconnecting and going and smelling the fucking oak and touching a goddamn tree, or sitting at a park, or just going cruising through the city, go sitting in a fucking restaurant, have a nice fucking meal, and just read a fucking paper or a book, or go to a museum. Like, these things are now just the eighth wonders of my life. Is the mundane. It's the mundane, so
See, Shannon, if you would have did this shit, if you would have tried to live a simpler life, you wouldn't even be having the problems you're having, or whatever. Because it's no way. If he was out there in the world enjoying the sun, the grass, the trees, the fresh spring, he would have never got so caught up in this. Like, going back to that conscious, I just cannot believe. I know we've all had a piece, with somebody that was just like, oh my God. But I cannot believe he was bamboozled by one. Like, when you have access to more. It's
Yeah.
one thing my grandmother used to say to my uncle, her children. She used to tell my uncles all the time, don't you know he made more than one of them? If that one act up, you go get you another one.
That part. You could get up on another one, baby. It's that easy, honey. K. Michelle says, I need another one to get over the other one. Baby. That's it. And hell, look, beat your dick if that's all at the end of the day. Because this is a conversation that a lot of like sexually pressed people don't have, baby. And as a connoisseur of sexuality and of the Kama Sutra and of the realm of the sensual, I think that there's not enough conversation in the power of self-pleasure. I feel like a lot of people are really not satisfied with self-pleasure because they don't self-pleasure well. Baby, there's an art to self-pleasure. And when you know how to get up in your shit, bitch, when you know how to get up in your own shit, you learn very quickly that you can get high off your own supply. People just don't understand that, like sex, self-pleasure is an art form. And when you know how to make your own body tick-tock, how to make your own head rock, like that shit can really substitute you even needing another player. But people just have to really take the time to master their bodies, to learn their pleasure points, and to utilize all this amazing technology we have available to us now that can really jack you the fuck up out here and give you an experience that no man or woman has and probably can ever give to your motherfucking ass. Like, I am a believer in self-pleasure, and because I self-pleasure well, I can go I can really go forever without needing another motherfucker. The only time I really hooked up is because like other people I do have that chemistry with want that. But if left to my own devices, baby, I can self-pleasure just fine. I don't need another.
I was just gonna say the truth of the matter is, most people don't know their self, don't know their bodies because they haven't taken the time, the opportunity to learn themselves. And once like you were saying, you don't need the other party. There's a lot of truth to that. From my own personal experience, but it all comes with discipline. And unfortunately, you're right, people don't have enough conversation about that. I don't know what the taboo it is about it or whatever the case may be, but listen, I could never tell someone else what I like if I didn't know what I like first myself. And it's really unfortunate that a lot of people in this world have sexual relationships.
Should not be able to do something to you that you can't do to yourself. You should be able to give yourself an orgasm as well.
But most people don't even know, like most people really have not experienced orgasms, men and women. I didn't know that for men. I was blown the fuck away. I learned that about 10 years ago. I didn't know that for men. They would climax and still wouldn't. I'm like, how's that possible? But it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And it's just really unfortunate because people just be performing, just be wasting time and energy, ain't getting a damn thing out of it.
And it really because our elders and our parents have failed us. These are all things that are supposed to come down the pipeline of community and family. These are things that, because we live in such a conservative Western box and shit is put into a taboo box, a lot of people never get the information. Just like I didn't know that a lot of women grew up not really knowing how to take care of their vaginas. I didn't know so many women didn't really learn about that shit until, they was well into their adulthood. I was thinking that was a part of the natural gatekeeping or, the natural pecking order, when it comes to women that, the mothers and sisters are teaching them, about their bodies. I had no idea that so many women, to your point, never had an orgasm, didn't know that they were supposed to even be experiencing the orgasm in sex, or just didn't even know how to hygienically take care of their genitals. And I'm just like, the community has failed us. Our community, our parents, our families, people have just been failed, and it's really pathetic, and it's sad, and it's tragic. It's tragic. It is.
All in the hopes and the guise to falsely informing us, or not saying informing us, falsely perpetuating. If I have these conversations and teach you this, you're going to go out and be promiscuous. As if that was going to stop. Like, child, I be having stories for days, and I say thank God that with my children, I have not been that way, and I'm proud of myself in that aspect or whatever. Like, I would rather prepare you, because you're gonna do what you want to do regardless.
Yep.
You're gonna do what you want to do, no matter how. I can't chain you to the wall. You have to go out. You have to leave out of my presence at some point. I need you to be equipped into the world. It's my job to prepare you for this world, and not have you out there like a fish out of water
and embarrassing me.
Like and child, because your kids will embarrass you.
Baby, you ain't gonna be out there embarrassing the family legacy, baby. I'm about to teach you all the ways of the way.
And even with teaching them, that doesn't mean, like, because I'm gonna tell you something, not making it about my kids, whatever, just in general. I'm gonna tell you though, like, some people, I don't know what it is. I always go back to discipline or whatever, which I think is very important for us to maintain, just making good decisions for our lives.
Yeah.
We lack discipline, for routine and things of that nature. It's like people just out here living any old kind of way. And when I mean any old kind of way, to the extent that it is not detrimental to our health all around, spiritually, all around. Like, just out here, just like acting like none of us know when our transitional day is coming, right?
Yeah.
But living like tomorrow ain't gonna come, and you know what I'm saying, and this is your last day on earth, and now tomorrow comes, and now you got to get your leg cut off, or you know what I'm saying, you got to get a needle in your penis or your vagina, or whatever the case may be, because you choose to be reckless and put in the responsibilities on others. I just don't get that, and I blame a lot of it on the parents, our elders, and things of that nature. But at some point, I'm looking like, okay, now you're adults.
Yeah.
We know that they failed you, so why aren't you doing better? And why not only better for yourself, but why aren't you doing better with the next generation? Because I'm pretty sure they don't know either.
Yeah.
So why we keep perpetuating this cycle? And the things that are healthy, think about that, conscious, bringing up the self-pleasure probably is the most healthiest thing to do, the most natural thing to do, to prevent shit like what he's going through, or STDs and things, or unwanted pregnancies and babies. You understand what I'm saying? Like, but for whatever reason, we've been taught against that, and a lot of people have passed that tradition on of teaching against that. It has been the most liberating part. I mean, I did fall, you already know, I ain't going to all that, but for me, it was one of the most liberating things. It helped me for years.
Yeah.
When I decided to not do, and I would engage in other things, but I wouldn't engage in the sexual act. Like, I was celibate.
Yeah.
And the way that it taught me how to love myself was like, and I'm not talking about celibate, but still, baking all that. No, I'm talking about from everything that was a temptation for me. I did that for 2 years. And the way it just, like, no one knows me better than I know myself.
Yeah. And that's another damaging. And that's another damaging thing too about like religiosity and heavily religious centered environments and upbringings and conservative upbringings in general, is that it does not create enough space for the development of individualism, which is really significant to having a healthy sense of self and a healthy self-expression, because in a lot of religious or conservative oriented spaces, people are taught to more so conform and to blend in, and that strips people from developing who they truly are and getting to the root of who they truly are. And then we wondering why so many people are masking, why the DL population is so huge, why people are so inauthentic, why people are kind of like trapped in their ego. And yeah, and it's because of these ideals and these cultural practices and identity politics and these religious influences that have led to, as I like to call it, a lot of like walking, living, artificial intelligent bots. Which is what I see when I look at most humans today. Is, you know, they are a product of their socialization, a product of their indoctrination, a product of cultural grooming. And it makes, when I look at us from that perspective, it makes the data make a lot of sense. I understand now why 70% of divorces, you know, are happening in the country. I think we're doing a little bit better in that regard. But I understand the mental health issues and disparities now. I understand the violence. I understand the buffoonery of the collective, because we have an issue of masking and not enough authentic people operating in their true selves. And when we don't operate in our true selves, it leads to these mutations in spirit, these mutations in consciousness. It shows up in our ragginess interpersonally, in our relationships to one another, etc. It has no choice but to create the dysfunction that, you know, we see rampant every day in the fucking world. So until this like group of people that are afraid of the authentic self and who feel the need to control reality and to push cultural narratives and messagings that appeal more so to our lower vibrational, animalistic, primal selves instead of our divine, higher consciousness selves, we're going to see the world the way that it is until that shit dies the fuck out. And new generations and new waves of humans are coming into the world being innovative, being authentic to their fucking core, and refusing to bow the fuck down, and then are recreating and giving birth to other human beings and giving them the same right to autonomy and the same right to self-liberation and self-knowing. And hopefully that happens, you know. But I really think that the core issue is that, yeah, we're not producing a lot of authentic people. We are producing more program people who never have a chance to know who the fuck they are, and then they have to use you as a beard. They have to use breaking your heart as a trial error. They have to use you up and tear you the fuck up in a attempt to then look back in retrospect and be like, well, damn, you know, I made it across the finish line, several victims out, and you know, you had to be a part of that train wreck experience of somebody, you know, having to come across people's paths and be, you know, a source or a stepping stone for them. And it's just like, yeah, I blame your parents and I blame your family and I blame your culture for you not having a quicker head start on the authentic paths, you know. And a lot of this stuff could be mitigated, you know, if it began well. By the time you raise a person as upside down as you fucking can, or a people, or you produce or socialize a people to be as upside down as they fucking can, of course, when they get out there into the world, you know, they don't have a choice but to either be a conscious villains or unconscious villains.
Right.
And then they have to learn through all the hurt and the mistakes of their lives, you know, and do all this damage in their lives and do all this damage in other people's lives you know, to have a chance to recorrect. And even that don't always happens because some people just get consumed in the vacuum that they get lost in. So it's sad, but the shit starts with childhood, and we got to just be raising healthier fucking people. And, going back to Shannon Sharpe, yeah, like master the art of beating your dick, or literally go work. I have high profile friends who deal with high profile escort services.
Mm-hmm.
If go work with a high profile escort services so you can have the discretion that's necessary and you can have access to the baddest of the bitches and the baddest of the niggas. And you ain't got to worry about your tea really being sprayed or none of that. It's a lot of check and balance systems in those high profile escorting sites, and a lot of wealthy people or people who got something to lose. Yeah, you got to set your life up to accommodate that. You're not an everyday person no more. You can't do everyday shit. You can't, the shit you do now is going to cost you. And so when you got shit that's on the line, yeah, you got to make sure that everything in your life is compatible and is in accordance to who you are now. Shannon Sharpe, like a lot of niggas, he lose sight of who he is and lose sight of how these seemingly normal things, like, oh, just having a sexual relationship to somebody, can cost him heaps. And now he's in a situation because some bitch at the gym, he wanted so bad, now has weaponized that relationship. And it's sad because if this was just literally a transactional situation and this was just about busting nuts together, really, I mean, my damn, it damn sure wasn't worth it in the end. 2 years of busting a nut resulting in a $50 million lawsuit that now has the potential to disrupt, multi-million dollar deals you got going on, disrupt brand deals. And now you got to walk around with the stain, and you got to be trolled for probably the rest of your career. And now you got even more to fucking prove. You was already out there dealing with gay rumors and not really being able to shake that shit off. And now you got something even worse than that trailing behind you. And, it's not worth it. So
I don't want that for him.
I don't want it for anybody. Yeah.
I'm gonna say that I'm a dip. I know that this is a 50 Shades of Grey gone wrong. I can see the backlash. Like I say, even with the vindication, this is a super dark black man. What he represents, we already know them people. Like, just the fact, it's going to have some backlash. I hate it for him, but it's going to have backlash just because who she is as far as race and complexion, and vice versa for him, is going to have backlash. They're going to look, and that's probably something that Busby was hoping for. In a sense, he may not have attained it with Jay-Z because he was a lighter hue, even though we know that was a lie. The accusation was a lie, but he probably didn't obtain it because it was a person of a lighter hue. Okay. Shannon, he is of a high status, but he's not a Jay-Z status. And he's not a Diddy status, but don't get it twisted. He's of a high status. I feel like, though, I don't know, something in my spirit just shifted, like my discernment. Like, I pray he does not cower down and try to just settle out of, you know what I'm saying, like out of fear of what more backlash can come from it if more is revealed. Not necessarily about the allegation of the grape, but just more is revealed that is truth, like his truth of what this arrangement was between him and this girl. I definitely believe like he's in fear of that, and I wish he would just own up. I mean, it's out there. Own up to it. Move forward in a better way. There's so many, like Conscious, you said, so many things that he could do and still live his life. But I just feel like it's gonna be just because who she is and who he is gonna, like, and that just made my stomach, like, made me feel something in the pit of my stomach, and I hate that for him.
Yeah.
But I'm sending him prayers and love and light.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming up, Aromas.
All right. Good night. Love you.
All right, boo. And love you too. Yeah, y'all, everything for us, even when it's not about race, it becomes about race because racism is going to transmute it into race. So black man got himself in a situation with a non black and brown party, baby, and it is very possible that he could get that Jonathan Majors work. Um Let me tell you something, man. Black men just ain't gonna learn. They just ain't gonna learn, baby. Jonathan Major should have been a cautionary tale. Should have been a cautionary tale. Okay? Y'all want Becky with the good hair? Becky may be perceivably more goddamn submissive, but Becky oftentimes has no real love for the black partner. It is opportunistic and it is fetishizing. Okay? Black men, if there's anybody who gonna sincerely love y'all black asses and put up with your fuck shit and your ego and make space for the multitude of your sin with they love, it's gonna be black women and black men, your own people. Your own people. So we'll see, child. There's so many things to talk about in this whole thing, girl. White women be hunting these wealthy black men down, baby. They know how to love bomb y'all. They understand y'all egos, y'all desperation to assimilate, to be picked. And black men would maybe realize this if they asses would accept that they have insecurities, they have internalized anti-blackness, and it leads them to unconsciously operating as pygmishas, which is why they oftentimes end up with the Becky. And they won't ever examine why. They don't ever sit back and do the forensics on why that is. Why you prefer Becky? Why was it important in this point in your career to go there with that group? Why was it okay to be with your people when you was poor, when you was a nobody, when you was on the up and up, when you was transitioning? You don't ever just unpack that. You got to unpack that shit, especially when you're black and you live in a pale patriarchy. You got to always examine your perception and the way you relate to yourself, your tribe members, and your non-tribe members. You got to always do that work to make sure that you're clear of false influences, that you're clear of synthetic influences, and that your connections are authentic from the inside out, and that you're relating in a way that's authentic and not in a way that is because of the programming. So lots of moving parts, as I said. I'm gonna get out of here. It's 3:33, you guys. I love you too, Auntie Jace. Thank you so much, boo. Hey, Sabby. Hey, Sandra. Hey, all y'all. Thumbs up on your way out, girl. I'll be keeping y'all updated on the things, child. So much going on, child. We just gonna keep it. We gonna keep it moving, child. Okay, all day, every day. The Kang been working. This is our 4th live stream today. 4th live stream, girl. Literally been working for y'all all Monday, child. Okay, and we gonna work until we ain't working. If you enjoyed yourself, show some love to the Cash App, $Consciouztv, and or paypal.me/Consciouztv. Y'all know I like to work for it. Please thumbs up on your way out. Email me or the tea to my email. Shout out to the street committee who sent me the actual paperwork. I'm so glad we got a chance to read this crazy ass lawsuit, baby. Follow me in Patreon for all true crime, religious, and spiritual content. We're going to be in Patreon today. There's been a lot of crazy updates around the Carmelo situation versus Austin McCaff, child. I gotta compile everything. So we definitely gonna be in Patreon probably for a good hour and a half, 2 hours tomorrow, just dealing with Austin McCaff and Carmelo Anthony, girl. For those of you who are looking to join Patreon, all those links are in the description box below. When I do go live in Patreon, I will make a post to the YouTube community wall for those who want Patreon exclusive content. You guys will have the opportunity to know that I'm live and can sign up. It's only $5 a month. That's also another way to support the channel monetarily. If you can't do large donations, you can literally just sign up to the Patreon for $5 a month, and that contribution goes a long way. StreamYard alone, girl, is I pay $100 a page for StreamYard because I need the HD feature, and also I need the full capacity for panels because you know they make you pay for more people you want on the panel. I have the maximum panel package, so you know the platform costs money to run, etc. And I appreciate all of you guys and all of y'all support, and you know, keep us all in your prayer. Stay prayed up as well. And yeah, any source you want to see covered, y'all just email me accordingly. You know, let me know what's going on. I love you long time, and I will see y'all all later. Good night.